for home building in Illinois. I want you to understand the kind of people who work at C.A. Jones. These are wonderful people invested in the community, giving back to the community with every home they build. And these are absolutely stunning homes. I go onto cajonesinc.com and I look at the buildable plans that they have there. I have a dream home in my future that we would like to build. And you can walk through the different layouts that they have. These are highly energy efficient homes. These are built to last. They are built to save you on energy costs over the course of the years that you're going to live in them. And also, in a lot of cases, built to be even more expanded over the course of time if you want to get a nice 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home built, but finishable basement later. You can finish it, of course, with the original build. I love talking to them about the different types of homes that they customize for each and every one of their customers. Go with the people who I would trust to build my home, C.A. Jones. You can find them online at cajonesinc.com.
There are many ways to listen. Most choose radio. But have you tried streaming? Download the Odyssey app and you can stream 97.1 with one touch. Or try it touchless by telling your smart speaker to play it.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Yeah, so according to sources, Elon Musk has sent a letter to Twitter saying that he wants to proceed with $54.20 a share, which would value Twitter at around $44 billion. You're completely right. That was the original offer price that he had proposed back in April of this year, which seems quite distant. Of course, we were due to head to trial on October the 17th in Wilmington, Delaware, in the Chancery Court, because Elon Musk had made more than one attempt to walk away from this deal. But according to Bloomberg sources, he's U-turned now. He wants to propose to buy Twitter at that original offer price.
So the Elon Musk Twitter saga continues. And what was your initial reaction, Brad, when we got the note, the news alert yesterday that it looks as though the deal will proceed?
So you know how I am, like super emotional and crazy and off the rails. And I looked at that, I said, how about that? And so but
you don't consider yourself super emotional and off the rails. Just for the people who don't know. I'm like, that's not you. I know people like that, not you.
No, so I didn't have a huge reaction to it, but I am hopeful that, his purchase of Twitter will change the platform for the better, not for the worse, and maybe give us an opportunity just to have a national conversation on a national platform, whereas before it wasn't that way. I know he's spoken in the past about how important freedom of speech is to, a free society. But then there's the other part of it. He said something called X platform. Have you heard? Yeah, just X.
I'm going to tell you that when you sent me that update that said that the Twitter is going to be all part of, it's like the one.
Right.
It's like the one world government. It's the One World app. I don't know that those things are connected. I just connected those things, and he's going, "No, Annie, knock it off." I was looking through gifts for a good X, and some were not appropriate. I was like, I shouldn't have searched this.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Well, I'm just wondering, what is X going to be? But the idea that he wants to push forward this platform and then, all the nonsense around it, he says Twitter is a great starting point, a great core around which he can form that platform. I think he's right, because if you think about all the things that you can do on Twitter right now, I mean, yeah, you send out messages, and that's mainly what people do is they just post things and throw stuff out there into the interwebs and, let everybody else read it and scream and yell about it or and like it or whatever. But you can also stream audio. I can see him expanding the platform to gaming, where you can stream gaming and stuff like that.
I actually think Twitter is pretty simple, that it doesn't do much.
No.
And I wonder how, because if you... In the social media world, you want to be really good at the thing you do. And then maybe there are some ancillary things, but you got to be the destination for one thing. Twitter is still, there are a lot of, True Social, Getter, Parler was out there for, I guess Parler is still out there.
Frank's speech.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, Mike Lindell's platform. Frank's speech. Those are all mimicking what Twitter does. And in the midst of everybody getting alternatives, I'm on Getter. I'm on True Social. I can't get True Social on my Android phone, so there's a big speed bump there that's actually too big for me to get over to use it with any regularity. If I could easily share it to the app on my phone, that would be different. But Twitter does that quick, the brevity, and the meanness to a T. They're really, really good at it. What does it look like if it becomes like the one destination for social media? I'm not sure. But you said something, Brad, that I think is important for people to understand, which is that Twitter being in the hands of Elon Musk, in and of itself, to me, even if he just kept it and kind of didn't focus on it and pulled off some of the stops that are on there right now for people who are of the wrong mind, according to current Twitter leadership, I think this has massive implications on the way the world works because of how much power they've had in the past. The idea that on Twitter, the Hunter Biden laptop story was not allowed to be shared, and that the New York Post, which is a reputable newspaper, was not allowed to have their story out there and was not allowed to participate in Twitter, is egregious. And of all things leading into an election, to take that out because somebody at Twitter, some bodies at Twitter said, we can't allow this. They should not have that much power. And if that no longer exists at Twitter in the future, and Twitter still does remain kind of the brevity social media of record, that will have a very large impact on what happens next.
Mm-hmm. And I talked about the chance to share openly ideas rather than just, I feel like, whenever you squash down one side, all you get is the other side. There's no perspective. There's no other angle to it. And you only see what one side wants you to see. So they present this, and either side could do this, but right now it's the left. Twitter has, the left has Twitter. Right-leaning commentary is pushed down. So what you end up with is like a Joe Biden presidency and Joe Biden policies, which is basically following what all the left-leaning people on Twitter want. And then you end up with all of the stuff that we have today. And rather than experimenting with these ideas and finding out they're bad by putting them into practice and figuring out that oil is going to go through the roof because we're running out of strategic petroleum reserves and OPEC's going to cut the production and green energy isn't ready yet and all this other stuff, and that harming people, like literally and physically harming people. There are people that are suffering because of these policies. It would be better to discuss these policies and then get somebody else's opinion on this that's maybe thinking about an idea in a different way that you are. It happens in everyday life. You talk with people, you get as many perspectives on it so that you can make the best informed decision that you can. Now, you're not always going to make the right decision, but you try to make the best decision. The best way to make the best decision is to get the most information that you can and get the most perspectives that you can because other people have other experiences.
It's also not against the law to be wrong.
No.
Like that's the thing here that we have, that's the double standard. That conservatives, if they share something that is deemed to be incorrect, the information doesn't just get removed. The conservative gets removed.
Mm-hmm.
That does not happen to the left.
No.
At all. You can go onto YouTube right now and search a whole bunch of things that were reported over and over and over again on Russia collusion, I have a whole Twitter feed or Twitter thread of things that you can still see from the specific entities that reported it. So it's not like, the Annie Frey show clipped a video from MSNBC and put it up there where Rachel Maddow was talking about the efficacy of vaccines. That is on MSNBC's YouTube page still. And it's allowed to exist. And she's out there telling the world it's official. If you get it, if you get the shot, you can't get the virus. That is out there right now on MSNBC's YouTube page, and that is scientifically not true. Now, I think it's important that Rachel Maddow's report on that is still on YouTube. I think that it should be the case that YouTube says, no, you reported this. We're a platform to publish information. We're a publisher. We're not somebody who, is that the right term? The idea that they are a platform where you can put information out, because there's like a technical section 230.
Yeah, platform versus publisher.
Publisher, okay. So they're a platform, not a publisher. They shouldn't be choosing and editing what gets to be put on their platform if they want the benefits of being a service that is used as opposed to a publisher. That's the correct way to say it. If Rachel Maddow reported this information incorrectly, I think it's important for Americans, and anybody really, to be able to go back and go, well, that's interesting, MSNBC, that you reported this with such confidence and honestly arrogance. At this point in time, that was not true. MSNBC, what have you done to correct this? And you can't check and balance those types of incorrect reports if they are removed from the platform to never be seen again. For some reason, those reports from an MSNBC host are allowed to live on. And if we even breathe the wrong words, I'm sitting here on YouTube right now. Join us on the Annie Frey YouTube channel, why you can, saying these words like the words vaccination, thinking they could get me in trouble. And listen, I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm not reporting anything that's misinformation. But because YouTube tends to have a slanted view and they censor people who say things that they don't agree with, they have the power to take me out of the equation. Twitter has done the same thing to so many different people. Elon Musk saying, have at it, have the conversation. That is a huge game changer, especially 35 days or so out from the midterm election.
Yeah. I don't know, though, that him coming in and owning it will make changes fast enough to affect this election.
I think that it will in, to use Hannah's favorite word, vibe.
In vibe?
I think that the concept of people feeling like this sea change could be occurring is something that could make a difference.
Yeah.
But is he going to be pulling out the stops right now? I don't know. Will Twitter feel like they need to do things before? Has he gotten the keys to the castle yet? I don't know. This is all stuff I'm excited to talk to our next guest about, because Jack Posobiec is going to be on with us in about 8 minutes. And we're going to discuss with him everything that's going on with Twitter. He is a master user of Twitter. He has, I think, 3 million followers or something like that. And he's a friend of the show. And so we're going to discuss this with him. And we're going to talk Pennsylvania races with Jack Posobiec, the governor race and the Fetterman Dr. Oz race. Should be interesting.
Yeah, that has been a topic of great interest to me.
Yesterday, well, first let me tell you about the YouTube live chat poll. While I tell you, you should come to our YouTube channel. One thing you can do, and we ask you to participate in, because we love class participation, the YouTube live chat poll today: if Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform, yes or no? I'd imagine there are people listening right now who have used Twitter in the past and who got kicked off. Will you create a new account? If you're a user of Twitter right now, do you think you'll use it more? Will you pay attention to what's going on Twitter more than you did before? How will you choose to share things and say things on Twitter? That could change as well. Last night we were talking, somebody tweeted at me, I think it was Balls tweeted at me, it was like, have you lost any followers? And I looked, I'm like, I think maybe a few hundred. I couldn't remember. I don't check that every day, but I think I lost a few hundred and then I maybe got 100 back overnight. Something's going on. That doesn't just happen.
Yeah, I lost. I want to say I think I said 200 last night, but I think that's too high. I think I lost about 100 followers. I think I had around 1,100 followers, like 1,100 followers, and I had 1,012. Last night, and then this morning I had 1,013. So I got one back.
Brad is teetering over that 1,000 followers mark, so you should go follow him at Range Brad and bump that number up. So when Twitter knocks it down, he still stays in the 4 digits.
Yeah, that's the goal here.
At Range Brad, go follow him. And go vote in our YouTube live chat poll. If Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? Yes or no? For some people, it might make them use it less because they're not of Elon Musk's line of thinking, or they may like the way Twitter is run currently. So you got to leave your comments in the live chat section. Hannah's watching those, and we will report on them in the 2:45, right at the end of the show. Stick around. We're going to take a quick break. Jack Posobiec, he's the senior editor at Human Events. He's also going to be at America Fest with Turning Point USA. December 17th through the 20th in Phoenix, Arizona. You can check out amfest.com. That looks like quite an event right before Christmas. And it's kind of hard to look at America Fest and go, boo. I'm kind of like, America. That's right. I think it would be a great event to attend. Let's talk to Jack Posobiec in a minute. Don't go away.
Look to the heavens, you can look.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
You can find redemption.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
And there's peace the same. Burning your ticket for that long black train.
Text Red Cross to 90999 to give $10 to American Red Cross Disaster Relief, which helps people affected by disasters such as Hurricane Ian. Message and data rates may apply, or go to 971talk.com for additional ways you can help.
So the Vitae Foundation, online at adsforlife.org, I want you to understand what they are doing to make a difference in this area across the country, reaching out to people who may be considering abortion. They reach out to these women and they give them a real choice. They give them a choice to see somebody who's going to show them the baby that's growing inside of their womb and choose life. But you got to be a part of this. And there's a great opportunity for you that's coming up here in the end of October. It's October 27th. Abby Johnson is going to be in St. Charles Thursday, October 27th as the keynote speaker of the Vitae Foundation's annual pro-life event. She was somebody who worked in a Planned Parenthood. She worked as a clinic director, and she left that life and became an advocate for choosing life and for ridding us of abortion. Be a part of this. Get your tickets for the Thursday, October 27th event where Abby Johnson will be at St. Charles Convention Center, all online at adsforlife.org.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet, and the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed. I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. Cowboy boots, running shoes, walking shoes, flat shoes, heels. Makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Dearborn.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED, but what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now. 314-530-7777.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomesaintlouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, and check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com, Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. and get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com. Or call 314-782-8000.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
To me, I think the service probably gets worse before it gets better. I don't know how they monetize it better if they're going to be losing users, which I suspect they will, especially if they're going to bring like MAGAtown back to the thing. So to me, I don't know. I mean, you guys are snickering, but that's a real issue here.
Well, I mean, the idea of less censorship is clearly one of his principles.
Yeah. Well, you're wearing your Twitter jacket today, so you seem on board.
It's a coincidence, by the way. So let's say they reinstate Donald Trump onto Twitter.
Yeah.
Would you leave the service?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't need to be there for that. I'm not on Truth Social for a reason. And no one other than like QAnon, MAGA conspiracy.
You don't have to follow him at all. You don't have to see anything about Donald Trump or from Donald Trump on Twitter.
Wow, it's almost like they're suggesting it's the free market. Like, go there if you want, don't if you don't. Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Quick before we get to our next guest, which I'm very excited to talk to, I have to say hi to Tim at the Retirement Advisory Group event that I spoke at last night. He was very kind, came out and had a great conversation with him and so many other people at Thomas Helbig's event. So, Tim, I said I'd tell you hi at 12:20. I did it at 12:27. I owe you 7 minutes. My apologies. Speaking about Twitter and talking about how Twitter is going to turn into what, Magathon or whatever he just said there, CNBC is not taking this well. As far as I know, Jack Posobiec has been there the whole time and has not been removed from the platform, and he's stayed pretty steady. He's a senior editor at Human Events. You can listen to his podcast and see him at America Fest, which is December 17th through the 20th in Phoenix. Jack, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here.
Andy, thanks for having me on. Twitter, many have tried to get me banned, taken down, shadow banned, search banned, et cetera, on Twitter, and they just can't seem to. The latest that we found out was that throughout 2020 and then into 2021, there was this consortium of quote-unquote disinformation management firms out of Stanford and some of these other sources that were working hand in glove with the government to target myself, target Charlie Kirk, Don Jr., a number of accounts through the election, and then into 2021, this Nina Yankovic, if you remember her, the disinformation governance
I've
board.
really tried hard to forget her, but she's singing in my head right now. Yes.
She tried, exactly, to set up this disinformation governance board. This is what came out of that consortium. And she was going to be the leader of this thing until, well, I blew the whistle on the whole thing and got her fired.
Yeah, well, you did a great service for us, Jack Posobiec, because she was singing those songs as a way to communicate to people, and she was somehow supposed to be in charge of this like communication platform and the way we share information. Whatever happened to? We were talking about this in the segment right before this. There's this idea out there that you're not allowed to be wrong about anything. So you have conversations, and if you're wrong about something, you get busted for it, but only if you're a conservative. The information isn't what's taken down. The conservative is what's taken down.
I've just spoken to some folks in the industry and said, okay, well, let's talk, brass tacks. Let's do real talk. What does Elon Musk do with Twitter? He's getting the thing. How's he going to change it? And from what I've heard is people are saying that what Elon Musk plans to do is introduce a Rumble-like style of restrictions on Twitter. So basically loose up the entire thing, go back to the original, basically just hate speech policy of if you have explicit hate, actual, targeting of a group based on ethnicity, that is the kind of stuff that he would most likely target. Leave it at that, because then you'll be able to get your advertisers on and the most users possible, but completely get out of the misinformation business, and to your point, not try to play these games of determining who's right, who's wrong, especially when it comes to these issues that, and many of the times, are being very hotly contested. What's the best way to deal with COVID? What's the best way to vote in the election? Were there issues with the election? All of these different things. We have a right under the First Amendment in this country to exercise our freedom of speech. And by the way, that includes on public utilities like social media companies.
So I want to make sure that people know we're speaking with Jack Posobiec right now. He's a senior editor at Human Events. You are very prominent on Twitter. Like you said, they've tried to come at you. They've targeted you. You're still there. Do you put your words out on Twitter carefully right now because of the current circumstances? Or do you just have Teflon about you and you've been able to say what you want to say and remain on this platform through this kind of censorship?
Oh, you've got no. You've got to be extremely careful about it. And what I do is that every time if I see someone get banned, if I see someone censored, the first thing that I do is I reach out to them and I try to see what happened, what specific terms of service were they banned for. In some cases, like when you look at Alex Berenson, we looked very closely at that situation, the lawsuit that he filed, the fact that he was able to come back through the fact, by the way, that the U.S. government, the Biden administration, was involved in targeting his account.
That's wild.
That's amendment. D.C. Drano is in the very same situation with the government because it was California that reached out to Twitter. And for myself, Charlie Kirk, and others, because the U.S. government was working with this consortium of, again, disinformation, hall monitors on the internet, that's a violation of our First Amendment rights from the U.S. government. And we can show damages and we can show everything else in terms of this. So we are, of course, looking at legal action. I believe Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is as well. And so what I do is I conduct a careful analysis, and this is something that's ongoing 24/7. Anytime someone is banned, I find the reason why. I look at the things that they're throttling, hitting on, and then you always make sure to walk right up to that line and basically say what you want to say, but without doing anything that's going to trigger their ban hammer, as we call it.
Jack Posobiec with us right now. You can follow him on Twitter at Jack Posobiec, and you can listen to his daily podcast with Human Events. So what you're talking about, what you know, the information you know that there's been targeted.
Which, by the way, you don't have to do that on Telegram, Getter, Truth Social. None of those have this policy whatsoever. So you can go there, and if you follow me on there, then you could just, you can go speak freely.
So let's say that the Republicans take the House. They're going to be able to investigate whatever they want to investigate if the Republicans do take the House. Do you think that there is action that should and will be taken by a Republican majority to expose a lot of the things that you're talking about?
Well, should it happen? Yes, absolutely. Will it happen? That's hard to say because, unfortunately, we have many Republicans who love to do the Trey Gowdy thing and raise their hand and say they're going to fight for you, they're going to fight against censorship, they're going to fight for freedom of speech, and then when they're called to actually do that or they're called to actually pass a vote or pass a bill, one of these things, they all of a sudden seem to find problems with it and then don't actually ever do anything to get the legislation in place that's going to help us when it comes to social media. In fact, I've said to multiple members of Congress, including Republican leadership, that if you just take the big tech boot off of our throats, we can do everything else. We're happy to help you in this fight for freedom, this fight for our country, but we can't do that if we're constantly fighting with one arm tied behind our back or, James Lindsay says the word groomer and gets banned because, he said it to the wrong person or some crazy reason such as this. If you just fix tech, then us and more to the point, the people of this country will have the ability to speak freely, will be able to share information freely, and then we will actually be able to take our country back on every single one of these issues. So we're not going to have to worry, for example, the murder rate, in the FBI just put out the new data. Well, St. Louis is in the data and Philadelphia is in the data, but guess what? Los Angeles and New York are completely omitted. Well, if I've got the ability to share that with people who are in those instances and in those areas, guess what? Now we can put it together and we can figure out why they're doing that. We can fill in the gaps of the data and information that our government doesn't seem to want to let us know.
Yeah, and it's such a hand-in-hand relationship, too, between, like what you were pointing to, the Biden administration and their involvement in what these big tech firms are doing. Every single time it benefits the Democratic Party. They work to protect the big tech companies to be able to censor this way, to keep people quiet or shadow banned or ban them altogether. It benefits the left every single time.
We actually had an NBC reporter yesterday by the name of Ben Collins, who, I don't even call him a reporter because that's not what he does. He's a journalist in the truest sense of the word because he works specifically for mega corporations to censor people who don't exactly toe the corporate line or the party line or the administrative line. He implied in a tweet yesterday, and I'm not going to say he admitted, but I will say he implied this, that if Elon Musk takes over Twitter, now we do think that there's going to be a massive exodus. You could call it a purge/exodus because Twitter, number one, vastly overpopulated in terms of employees. It's totally bloated. It's not making any money. There's so many ways to cut costs. And number one, there's going to be mass layoffs there. But number two, Ben Collins pointed this out. He said the people that Elon Musk seems to be interacting with, this could have a effect on the midterms. And the question then becomes, wait a minute. So are you implying then that platform manipulation has been helping Democrats all along the way that we've alleged since at least 2018.
Yeah, that's a great point. Quite an admission and probably a whoopsie there from that report, so to speak. We're going to be continuing to watch how this affects people. You know, the smaller profiles certainly have seen some give and take with followers recently. You just assume that they're playing with the algorithms. You don't really know. I guess we don't really know at this point how big the boot is and how much pressure is being put on the type of speech that maybe a conservative might have. Do you think?
Yesterday, it was not just the little ones. Yesterday, I lost something like 15,000 followers just in the blink of an eye. You can see this we track this very closely. We've got data analytics on the back end. And you can see all of a sudden, because we like to see where our traffic is up, where it's going down, what our engagement is going to be, future projections, et cetera. And then you go to yesterday and suddenly we're just, boom, 15,000 gone. All of a sudden. Meanwhile, I'm like, where's that 15,000? So you have to start again. And now because they have the boot on our necks, it'll take me another, 2-3 weeks to be able to get that number up unless they start killing the bot traffic. They'll say they're killing bot traffic, but here's what they're actually doing in many cases. It's not that they're deleting accounts. What they're doing is they're automatically unfollowing people from you because what they're doing is they're disintermediating the networks. So, for example, you and I follow each other on Twitter, but all of a sudden what would happen is one day we wake up and we're not following each other. No, I haven't, last I checked, we don't have any drama, even though you are a little bit of a Disney fan for my taste, but that's neither there. But not enough for me to unfollow you, at least at this point. If you go off the deep end, we'll talk.
Thank you.
But the idea is that they'll automatically force unfollow people. They'll do this on a network basis because they've got all the tracking networks of say, okay, here's conservative Twitter, here's blue and on Twitter. That's the far blue resistance types.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the green Twitter, climate Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And so they know that by forcing unfollows, they will stop people from being able to see your tweets, and then you won't be able to have the same amplification because people aren't seeing things that they've signed up to see. By the way, I have to give Elon Musk credit for this one when he said, it used to just be that you would sign up for one of these social media platforms, and then you'd be able to self-select the people and the outlets that you wanted to follow and the content that you wanted to engage with. I think that's all anyone's really asking for.
It is. Yes, that's exactly right. Before we let you go, I know you've been very outspoken on the Pennsylvania races, the Senate race and the governor race.
That's home.
You got to give us your thoughts here. You can give us a couple minutes of where this is going because the whole country is watching what takes place in Pennsylvania. It's incredibly important that specifically that Senate race is won by a Republican. And I'm sure somebody myself who lives in Illinois, that governor race to those Pennsylvanians, very key as well.
Well, look, when it comes to Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania is the keystone. It was the keystone at many inflection points in our nation's history, whether you look at 1776, whether you look at the Battle of Gettysburg. And then as we go forward throughout 2020 and then going into 2024, those 20 electoral college votes are certainly going to swing. I mean, that state was only won, as we're told, by Joe Biden by something like 5 digits in terms of votes, less than 100,000 votes, super small. And so in the Senate race there, because Fetterman is so incredibly unfit for service, I think the people of Pennsylvania are taking a look at that race. They're looking at the Republican and saying, you know what? This guy Fetterman, he doesn't even seem like he knows where he is. We talk about it with Joe Biden, but he's older. Fetterman's not that old, but you look at him and he seems like he doesn't even know where he is. He's not able to finish a sentence. He's clearly unfit to serve. So that's really hurting him. Plus, people are looking at his legacy of a record where he's just voting to let hardened, violent criminals out when he was on the parole board through his instance as the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. These people aren't just soft on crime. At this point, they become pro-crime. And you see the same exact thing happening in the governor's race when it's where it's Mastriano, Senator Mastriano versus AG Shapiro, where Shapiro is another one of these soft on crime people. And as the race turns more towards the issue of crime, it's going away from abortion because the Democrats really want to make it abortion. But now that crime has reared its ugly head, so inflation, we already know when it comes to inflation, economy, trade, immigration, Republicans win. But if you turn this race now on its head in terms of crime, it's going to be Republicans again. And you're seeing those numbers really, really tighten up on both the Senate side and the governor's side.
It's so true. And, bringing it back to Twitter before we wrap this up, just showing Fetterman's comments and appearances and letting that speak for itself. If that type of stuff gets shadow banned on Twitter and people don't see it, that absolutely has an effect on the outcome of an election. And you can't trust it right now, but maybe go ahead.
The great Greg Price put together a supercut, just a montage of all of the times that Fetterman has had these sort of, we'll call them Fetterman moments. And NBC wrote a hit piece on Greg. They tried to shadow ban him. They tried to get it taken down. They tried to get Twitter to throw a label on it. All he did was slice it together from different instances of Fetterman having these moments on the campaign trail at that specific speed. It's like the oldest thing done in politics. It's like, putting a supercut together of Trump saying China. Everybody does this. But for some reason, when we do it to Democrats, that's a target for banning because that's exactly what this is. You've got a relationship, a dark alliance, and this toxic relationship between corporations that control freedom of speech in this country and the Democrat left.
Man, Jack Posobiec, you are always a great guest to be on the show. Thank you so much for the time today. And people need to follow you if they haven't already on Twitter and maybe refollow you in a few weeks.
If Twitter force unfollowed you, have to refollow me. That's what we're going to say, refollow.
Exactly.
And Human Events Daily every day.
And we will talk about America Fest more as it approaches.
Yes, it's great. Huge. We're looking at 15,000 with myself, Tucker, Charlie, Candace. Everyone's going to be there.
It's going to be great. Thanks so much, Jack. We'll get you back here soon.
Thanks, Annie.
All right, bye-bye. At Jack Posobiec on Twitter, a very good follow, ahead of the game, ahead of the curve on news and information on a regular basis, and definitely understands how to play the Twitter game. What I like about Jack Posobiec and the way he uses Twitter, it's kind of the way that we can talk about whatever we want. This is a radio show that happens to be, we use social media platforms, but we're a radio show, first and foremost, and in the event that you have to pick one, only a radio show. And we're like taking what we're doing and we're trying to manipulate with these different social media platforms to put this stuff out there so you can consume it in little bits and hopefully join us more each and every day, noon to 3 on 97.1. But when you take the boot off the neck, like Jack was saying, I can't wait to see what happens. And it might be like the Wild Wild West for a while, but right now it's the opposite of the Wild Wild West. It's fascist. So let's move the pendulum back to the middle. We're going to take a quick break. Wiggins America. When we come back here in studio, we got Deroy Murdock at 107 in the YouTube live chat poll. You can go onto the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote. If Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? Yes or no? Leave a comment. Back in a minute.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show. The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Somebody who wants to strip all protection from the police. It's the equivalent of saying we don't want the police to wear body armor because the criminals who are shooting at them don't get body armor, so it's not fair.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
If you are looking for a piece of jewelry, now, it could be something specific. I have in my mind, I'm going to text Tom at the Diamond Shop right after we get done here, a picture, because I have in my mind a necklace that I would like to have made. And they do custom jewelry at the Diamond Shop in Clayton. They've been serving St. Louis since 1910, and their reputation is what keeps people coming back again and again and again to make their jewelry purchases or to have jewelry appraised. They buy gold, and they can do jewelry and watch repair. They're your one-stop jewelry shop at the Diamond Shop in Clayton. And they're great people. And they understand that an educated customer is the best customer, which means you're going to go in there with whatever breadth of knowledge that you have about purchasing jewelry. And they're going to make sure that whatever direction you're headed, whatever you're looking for, you're going to feel very confident in that purchase when the time comes to make it. Reach out to the people at the Diamond Shop on their website. It's thediamondshop.net, and sign up to be a VIP. You can sign up and get special discounts and merchandise. They also offer to customers 6 months, same as cash, which is a great way to budget out your purchase. Find all the details online at thediamondshop.net.
10-year-old George Haruza and his parents, with only what they could carry in a suitcase, made a daring escape from behind the Iron Curtain of communism. George Haruza and his family risked their lives fleeing communist oppression to secure the freedom and promise of America. George Haruza quickly learned English, studied hard, and worked harder. Overcoming every hurdle in his way, George Haruza is now a world-renowned surgeon, educator, and physician leader.
So I do believe in a limited government. Governments should provide for the people who are really in need, encourage everybody else to rise up to their potential, and then mostly get out of the way.
Now George Haruza wants to bring his record of getting good things done to the state Senate, and George Haruza understands the mission. George Haruza for state Senate, a record of getting good things done. Paid for by Haruza for Missouri.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Hey, it's Bo Matthews. On behalf of Beast Plumbing, want to educate you on what a hose bib is. A hose bib is basically your outdoor faucet to get water to your backyard or your driveway or on your business. And sometimes they go bad. They either leak or the handle breaks. You need to get that replaced. Well, Beast Plumbing is offering in the month of October $25 off replacement hose bibs and $50 off new hose bibs. They've got a new number you can put in your phone, 314-500-LEAK. That's 314-500-LEAK, or find them online at BEISplumbing.com. Tell them Bo sent you to Beast Plumbing.
This month's Zero Res special. The more you clean, the more you save. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129 or 5 rooms starting at $199. A 43% savings. Take $75 off any air duct cleaning package. Call 314-474-2020 or go to ZeroResSTL.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
She grew up in an Indiana town, had a good-looking mama.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We just got done speaking with Jack Posobiec. Great conversation on the Twitter story of the day, which is the same story we were reporting on, I don't know, was it 5-6 months ago when Elon Musk put in his bid to successfully purchase Twitter, then some stuff happened, and now we're back to him buying Twitter again. And Jack Posobiec has a great perspective on that. I encourage you to tune into the Odyssey app, AUDACY, and follow 97.1 FM Talk. And if you missed that conversation, you could just rewind to about 12:25, pick that up, and we'll be here right when you get done with that, with more of the show. Let's do Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins! Well, you guys, I finally let one drop in front of my kids about a month ago.
You'd probably have to be more specific as to what.
I'm not talking about a fart. I am talking. That's happened for a long time. That's day one. I am talking about.
It's not like they're, as babies. It's like kind of fair play. I would assume back and forth.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
you spent with twins. Like there's years of your life that's mostly consumed with bodily functions.
Mm-hmm. It was happening in stereo. Just like this show. So I'm bringing it back now. See.
Again, you do the radio thing, but you got to tell people about
That's right. So I did. It was about a month ago, and I got to read this line from this article that I looked up on this because it says, if you've dropped an F word in front of your child, is Little River now doomed to become the Andrew Dice Clay of pre-K? I'm like, they used my own kid's name in this article. How did that happen? Did they know that I did this? So it was the twins are 8, River's 5. I was in a room with the door closed on a phone call that I was getting really mad at somebody. And I'm not really a casual cusser. I will if I get really worked up. But I said to the person at the other end, it was like a vacation thing. I said, man, this is some stupid BS. Full word, though.
Bologna sausage.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we say on the air.
On
here.
the
It's not what we say off the
FCC
air.
regulated air. And I thought I was safe because I was in a room, away from them. Well, of course, if they hear Dad getting worked up, they want to try to listen. So they're probably standing right outside the door. So I come out and they go, "Oh, Dad, we heard you say a bad word." And I'm like, "Oh no, it's never happened before." All right, fine. I'm sorry. And they said, "Yeah, you said stupid." I'm like, oh, you guys, you caught me again. I shouldn't say that word. You're
That's
right.
some BS for me. I shouldn't say stupid.
Exactly. They had never even heard that word, so they didn't even know that it was a bad word. They knew stupid was. So I thought,
What if something really is stupid?
Then you got to call it out, right?
You do have to say what you got to say.
You got to say it. And I did, made my peace, and they told me about it. So I looked up this article about...
Chris on YouTube says, if you cuss enough around them, they won't point it out anymore.
Is that a strategy? Annie, you tell me. Like,
No, I need to know what the article says first.
All right, well,
I'll take my advice in my lumps.
It says this. If you do drop a cuss word in front of your kids, and this is weird because so many different people have so many different opinions and styles with parenting, with this kind of stuff.
With cussing.
With cussing. I'll tell you what this says, though. If you do drop an F-bomb, and mine wasn't an F-bomb, but it was a cuss word, in front of your young child, it says try your best to play it cool in the moments that follow and act like you gave it almost no attention. Is that the strategy? That's what I'm asking you.
I say bad words. I shouldn't, and I don't say them in front of my kids, but sometimes you say them and it's not in front of your kids because you didn't know that they were there.
Exactly.
But I don't like that I do that. It's probably one of the worst things about me is my language. Brad's nodding his head right now.
I'm not nodding.
I'm
I am
forgiven
judging,
sinner.
though.
Yeah, I am a forgiven sinner. I'm a broken person. Gosh dang it. I have told my kids before if they've heard me say something or if they hear other people say something, you know what you are allowed to do and what you are not allowed to do. And whatever anybody else does, even if it's mom or dad, does not permit you to use that language. If mom and dad do that, that does not make it okay. It's wrong for us to do it. It's wrong for other people to do it, and it's wrong for you to do it, and your expectations will be accordingly.
That is exactly what I did, except that they didn't really point out a cuss word. So, but I thought the exact opposite of what these experts are saying. Make a deal out of it. Make something out of it and say, you know what? I messed up.
If
I
they
am
bring
fallible.
it to me, then that's the direction I go.
Sure,
I'm not
sure.
going to be like in the other room and say an F word or something and then be like, hey, kids, come in here. We got to talk about this.
Did you hear that? If you didn't, here's what it was.
This is what I said, and that's okay for me, but not for you.
When you get to a certain
'Cause
age,
it's not.
you can just start saying whatever you want to whoever you want. The opposite, though, they say when kids do it. So if a kid has picked this up either from the parent or from a TV show or something, whatever, this is probably a little bit older kids, but what do you do then? They say, same thing. Play it down. Don't make a big deal out of it.
Heck no.
That I actually sort of agree with.
Really?
Because if they say a cuss word and they're floating it out there to see, well, what's the reaction going to be? And you don't really react. First of all, you haven't really given them what they wanted, but then you can turn around and say, Don't use that word.
I would not make a big deal out of it, but just because you're making a big deal out of something doesn't mean that you have to shout about it and like cuss them out. What the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
Who taught you that? Me? Well, that doesn't matter.
I learned from watching you.
Yeah, you're going to learn other bad things too. I will stop it in the tracks. And I mean, I'm sorry. When you're 2 or 3 year olds, one of their, when they repeat something.
Okay.
It's wrong, but it's also kind of adorable. Am I wrong? Like if
no,
they say
you're not.
something.
But that's what this says. Don't laugh. Don't react.
If you're talking about a 3-year-old who heard grandpa use driving language, which is literally what it's called in one of my families. If
That's
you know,
funny.
you know, driving language. If they repeat something like that and you're like, hey, where'd you hear that word? And they're like, grandpa. You're like, you don't use that word. That's not a good word to use. And if grandpa uses it, that's up to grandpa to decide, but you don't use that word. Like I'm stopping it in their tracks, looking them in their eyes, and they're going, oh, I should use that word again. That first time is a direct warning. Don't do that again. You may not have known that it was a word you're not supposed to say, but I'm making it a moment that they remember, I did something there.
Yeah,
Not
and
like
you
grounding them.
don't have to fly off the handle.
No.
So don't make a big scene. Be like, well,
unless you want to teach them more.
Let me explain to you why this is wrong.
Isn't it funny the context with which it's used to? Because that matters. If it's something done in anger, it seems to be different. I had a grandparent who was a very farm raised, and she would use blank and shinola all the time. And it was just like, whatever. It was no big deal. It was just like farm language.
What?
I can't say
We'll
it.
have to have you tell us off the air.
Okay.
Somebody on the YouTube chat tell me before Ryan does. And shinola?
Blank and shinola. If you've never heard the phrase,
it's alliteration.
I grew up
Yes.
on a farm.
She grew up in an Indiana town.
I am excited to learn new words in the break.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Stick around, Deroy Murdock, when we come back.
One more time to kill the flame.
Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose, to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the bagel loan guy working on improving your economic situation. It's very simple to do. To reach out to Stewie, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Call or text him and ask him how the bagel loan can help you. If you're making a home purchase soon, you have to use the bagel loan because you don't pay all those closing costs that everyone else is going to charge you for. I'm talking thousands of dollars that you can save here. This is a very basic phone call that you can make or text that you can send to get down the path to making this possible. He said when he was here with us earlier this week that he can close in 12 days. That makes you a competitive buyer as well. If you're looking to secure a mortgage and you want to do it in the smartest economic way for you, for your family, check out the bagel loan at Stewart's American Mortgage. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan to find out more information right now. NMLS number 226715.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Progress in Florida. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Governor Ron DeSantis announcing that some of the island access taken out by Hurricane Ian has been restored to the bridge to Pine Island, and there's hope for the Sanibel Island Causeway later this month.
The damage was in multiple locations. Nevertheless, they feel confident that this will be done in October, they think.
He's meeting today with President Biden, who's visiting hard-hit Southwest Florida, along with the First Lady and the FEMA administrator, also meeting with families and taking a helicopter tour of the devastation 1 week after Ian made its Florida landfall near Fort Myers. On the way there, spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre offering White House reaction to a decision by oil-producing nations to cut production, calling it a mistake.
OPEC's decision to cut production's quotas is short-sighted while the global economy is dealing with the continued negative impact of Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
She says domestic production is on track to break a record next year and that the president is directing the U.S. Energy Secretary to find more responsible ways to boost production. Republicans and industry officials have argued the president's energy policies are stifling new investment. Filming expected to resume in January for Rust, the Alec Baldwin movie, suspended nearly a year ago when cinematographer Helena Hutchins was shot and killed on the set by a gun being used as a prop. This after an agreement was reached to settle a lawsuit.
Alec Baldwin's attorney confirming a settlement has been reached in the wrongful death lawsuit brought by her family against the actor and the film production.
Fox's Lillian Wu, Hutchins' husband, will now executive produce the Western.
In a statement calling it a tribute to her final work, saying original principal players will be on board, that he has no interest in engaging in attribution of blame, and that he believes his wife's death was a terrible accident.
But a criminal investigation continues. America is listening to Fox News.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
78 degrees should do it this afternoon with plenty of sunshine. Tonight, partly cloudy, maybe a sprinkle here and there. 55. Thursday, partly sunny, 79. Thursday night, partly cloudy, maybe a sprinkle and 48. And then it's chilly. All about fall on Friday. Sunny, breezy. 59, 60 for the high on Friday. Friday night, clear and 36. Some frost away from the city. The weekend looks great. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Stay connected to everything happening in the world, the country, and the community.
The badge has a QR code that takes you to a website that has extremely inappropriate information. And as a parent, that crosses the line.
But frankly, your vote is the only thing that can stop it.
Your home for conservative talk.
You hate cops just because of cops? The next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, with Andrea's sauce, you get a really, really unique sauce, but I failed to talk about their salad dressing, which is just as unique. We just ran out of that last night. So grab a bottle of Andrea's sauce and Andrea's salad dressing, and I think you'll find that there are flavors that you're really not going to find anywhere else, which is why those are ordered everywhere in the country, especially the steak sauce, which has been around a little bit longer. It's got a little bit longer reputation to uphold. White House orders a case every year, so every president since I think Jimmy Carter has had Andrea's sauce. So you can get that because it's made right here in St. Louis. You can also go to the restaurant, which is in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Quick trip right across the river, and you will have the best steak in the area. So check them out at Andreas.com. I think there you can also find a bunch of recipes that you can use their brush-on steak sauce outside of just your proteins. So that's kind of fun, too. Check it all out at Andreas.com. And once again, visit them at Andrea's Restaurant in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Single-family houses and apartments are the key to passive income, a.k.a. retirement. No one knows this better than America's most successful investor, educator, self-made multimillionaire, and CEO of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley. Meet Del's team live in St. Louis. 2 days only, Saturday and Sunday, November 5th and 6th. To attend, register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential. Register today at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
5 weeks to go, so let's take a look here. First, the big picture indicator. We always say the president's job approval rating, usually the most reliable indicator of how midterms are going to go. For Democrats, this is not good news. Joe Biden's average approval rating is 42.7%. Put that in perspective here with modern presidents at this exact same point in their first midterm, and Biden's right at the same level that Trump, that Obama, that Bill Clinton were in what were brutal midterms for them. The only exception in modern times, George W. Bush a year after 9/11. You see what this meant. For Trump, he lost the House in 18. For Obama, his party lost the House in 10. For Bill Clinton, his party lost the House in 94. Biden's approval rating is right in that range.
So that's an MSNBC report there with Steve Kornacki talking about Joe Biden's approval and how this isn't looking so hot for the president and particularly his party going into the midterms. But what are the issues that are really motivating voters right now as the midterm approaches? I will highlight here that crime has been something that on a national level has been accelerating, is important for people when they're thinking about going to the polls. Today is a big day in St. Louis because the man who murdered David Dorn in cold blood on the streets of St. Louis, he has been sentenced to life in prison without parole. In my opinion, that's not enough, but I think it's the best that could have been done. Stephen Cannon was convicted of murder in July. And in the death of former St. Louis police captain David Dorn. Life in prison, no parole. And it's issues like this where law and order is not a priority of the people who are in charge right now that have people motivated to go vote in November. Paying attention to this and so many of the other issues facing our midterm elections, Deroy Murdock is a nationally syndicated columnist. He's a Fox News contributor, and he's with us weekly. Deroy, thank you for being back with us today. It's great to have you here.
And it's great to be with you.
You know, when I saw that the Fox News alert, not even the local news alerts that I get, that David Dorn's murderer was sentenced to life in prison without parole, that made me happy to know that this man was going to be put away. But it makes me sad that, you know, the state of law and order in St. Louis has been in disarray for quite some time. This is a story all across the country.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And when you say, well, it's a good thing he'll die in jail, we always hear life without parole and then they're out in 20 years. I mean, I don't know what part of life without parole people don't get when they say, oh, okay, you've been here 20 years, off you go. We had just here in New York last week this woman, I think on the way to work, getting attacked on the subway. Didn't know the perpetrator, no connection. This wasn't an ex-girlfriend or terrible boss or, loud at next-door neighbor. She's walking down through the subway, doesn't know the guy. He jumps on her, throws her against the wall, kicks her repeatedly, damages her eye so badly she might be blind in that one eye. No connection whatsoever, a completely unprovoked random attack. And then we learn the additional detail that he had previously been in jail for killing his grandmother. So he kills his grandmother, and then he's back out to attack more people. What on earth is that? So, let's hope it's life without parole, but my guess is that it'll be, 20 years and the guy's back on the street.
When we look at polls and we see a midterm approaching, it's easy to boil all of these things down into just which man or woman is going to win an elected office, and then you wonder if anything is going to change. But there are real pressing issues facing Americans right now that do rest in who has power in Washington, D.C., of course, here in the state of Missouri, in Jefferson City, in Illinois, in Springfield. These elections have major consequences where we're heading pretty rapidly in one direction right now. The midterm election, that's definitely where Americans and voters do have the opportunity to push it back to a sense of normalcy.
Absolutely correct. And if you have any doubt about the consequences of elections, just think back to where we were 2 years ago today, where we had energy independence, we had an inflation rate of about 1.4%. We were respected around the world. We were still strong in Afghanistan. We had kids, unfortunately, going through Zoom school, but as far as we could tell, they were more or less learning what they should have, or things had not veered too far off course. Here we are 2 years later. We've got 8.5% on inflation. Energy independence is gone. Gas prices are going back up, and they're all the way at $5 and a penny per gallon on average across the country. The Afghan disaster, crime surging like crazy, as we just discussed. And so, yeah, all that can happen in 2 years. Maybe if we have a strong election and put some handcuffs and manacles on Joe Biden to limit the damage he can do, maybe we can move back in the right direction, or at least stop going in the wrong direction. So this is what's at stake, and I'd urge people just ask yourselves, are you better off now than you were 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And if you're better off, then yeah, go ahead and vote Democrat. If you were wondering where on earth our country went in less than 2 years, maybe it's time for you to vote Republican.
There's a lot of policy movements that seem to pull at the heartstrings of voters and of people who do feel a sensitivity to these specific issues, or maybe don't experience the negativity that some of these movements, maybe it's not personal to them, but they care for. I think the word that is used often is that they become an ally of those people who do feel marginalized by specific sorts of political movements. And one of the things that specifically here in St. Louis, Cori Bush has stood directly by her concept of defund the police. This was kind of a chant. It was kind of a mantra for people in the Black Lives Matter movement. Well, they've had some success in their movement towards defunding the police. And what we're seeing across the country is a direct result of it. Do you think that the situation where law enforcement is working to be defunded and replaced, is the current state what they were actually hoping for, or is this just kind of collateral damage?
That's interesting. I think some of these people might have had, big hearts and small brains and gotten us in this mess. I think other people who have been pushing this stuff are cultural Marxists who want chaos, and they want a completely volatile situation such that you end up with a revolution, the overthrow of the existing capitalist system, and the installation of socialism, and eventually Marxism-Leninism. I think some people want exactly that. And when things go crazy, they're thinking, yeah, good, let's make it even crazier. And these folks just 2 years ago started this whole defund the police, not just defund the police, but demoralize the police, demonize the police, ridicule the police. And they got what they wanted. The police have backed down. A lot of cops, rather than be on the street, walking the beat, are sitting at their desks or crime takes place. They kind of walk by and say, gee, that's interesting. It'd be nice if somebody did something about it. And they just either drive on or walk on by, like the song says. And the result is we see is 16 different cities across the country with breaking records for homicide last year. And guess what? Out of the 16, 15 of them have Democrat mayors, and they're the folks who run the police departments or don't run the police departments, as the case may be. And we have a lot of people like Kim Foxx in Chicago, Alvin Bragg here in Manhattan, George Gascon in L.A. I know you have your George Soros-funded prosecutor in St. Louis. And these folks' basic idea is, I think along a very Marxist line, that the justice system is based on racism, based on bigotry. It's an offshoot of white supremacy. And the best way to handle criminals is to get them out of that racist system and back on the streets so they can go back to their careers, robbing and maiming and killing people. And you look at these folks who have been put in by Soros, and they just don't seem to care about the bloodshed around them. They just don't care. They're doing nothing about it other than exacerbating it, and I think quietly from their desks, egging it on. It's truly appalling, and it's not just a bad idea, it's a deadly idea.
Fox News contributor and nationally syndicated columnist Deroy Murdock with us here on the Annie Frey Show. I think about the movement, especially when the Black Lives Matter movement started and in some cases really did get its start here in St. Louis with Michael Brown and the hands up, don't shoot. That turned out to be a complete and total lie. And we watched that on the ground here in St. Louis develop and snowball into what it is today. I think about people who I know who sympathize with this movement, and what they want to see is they want an understanding of what they would refer to as inequity of some people's circumstances. They're grown up in a situation, a neighborhood, a society, an area of this city specifically where they think there's no way that they could come out of there and possibly succeed. So they want to reshuffle the deck and give new opportunity to these people. And then that turned into, I think probably more after the George Floyd situation, a very anti-cop sentiment as well, that caused people to look at criminals and want to reshuffle the deck and give those criminals a new opportunity. And I think at the heart of it for most good people is a sense of humanity, wanting to treat people with some grace and in a humane way. But when you insert criminals into it, and criminal people make decisions that have victims on the other end, and those criminals choose not to treat those victims with humanity, don't some of those people who are committing these crimes lose some of that right to be treated with that deference that this movement suggests that they should have?
There's no question about that. Look, if you want to have more justice, social justice, whatever, fine. Let's discuss school vouchers. Let's discuss scholarships. Let's discuss tutoring. Let's discuss ways to have more economic opportunity in low-income areas. That's fine. That's a productive discussion. We can differ as to whether it should be more private sector, more government sector, but that's a very productive discussion. What is not a productive discussion, I believe, is saying, well, the justice system is racist, so let people run loose. If you want to shoplift, fine, keep it under $900, and that's cool. We're going to take previous felonies and make them misdemeanors. You can beat up on people. It's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor, so you get a ticket at best. If we pick you up, we're not going to demand cash bail. You'll be back on the street in time, to make it home for dinner if that's what you want to do, or go and steal your dinner from a restaurant or fast food place, then beat up the staff on the way out. That's cool. There's a big gap between wanting to be helpful to people who are downtrodden and then throwing the jails open and then handcuffing the police so that people end up living in a state of chaos. And by the way, most of the people who suffer are not blonde-haired, blue-eyed folks. They're black-haired, black-eyed folks living in the ghetto or in barrios. And that's where most of the victims of criminals are. So if you're trying to help black and Hispanic people, you end up actually hurting them. So this becomes completely self-defeating. Even if people have good intentions, very often it just boomerangs and ends up hurting the very people that they're either trying to help or at least claiming that they're trying to help.
Deroy, before I let you go, I always try to look, I'm happy to point out the double standards that exist and the discrepancies and what's really happening versus what's being reported. But there is an opportunity to split the necessary hairs between what Black Lives Matter has become and the truth that there are some people who are born into circumstances that might put them in a lesser position to have opportunity that other people will. And I think that Donald Trump's administration actually acknowledged this and made an effort to try to provide an equal opportunity versus an equal outcome that is impossible to provide. And I think that the Republican Party moving forward needs to speak on these issues. And I'm curious about your thoughts on the necessity, if you see it that way, to split those hairs and say we do need to acknowledge these individuals who aren't born into the circumstances that others are and maybe are behind the eight ball when it comes to having the opportunities to achieve that American dream.
Look, I think you're absolutely right about that. I think President Donald J. Trump's Opportunity Zone program was an effort to do that, which is to bring more investment and private sector involvement in low-income areas by lowering taxes and having deregulation and various incentives. I think about 8,000 or 8,500 Opportunity Zones, which, as far as I could tell, were quite successful to the point he left the White House. So you can be for those things. That's all wonderful. I also think you can say, listen, if there are cops who are engaging in police brutality or tarnishing their badges, or for that matter, killing people who they shouldn't, unarmed citizens, et cetera, who are posing no threat to people, either they need to be retrained or they need to be fired, or maybe they need to be prosecuted. That's fine. But there's a big Grand Canyon-like gap between those sentiments and what we got now, which is basically, throw the jail cells open and encourage the criminals to return to their criminal careers, and good luck and happy hunting. That's the attitude on the part of these left-wing George Soros-type prosecutors, the no-cash bail movement, and a lot of other people who just do not care when people get beaten, bludgeoned, and killed. And their idea is when that happens, you break out your handkerchiefs and you cry over the criminal who might have got a little blood splattered on him, then the person on the ground is bleeding to death or maybe already is dead.
And it's important to point that out. You do such a great job, Deroy. Thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right, Annie. Thank you very much. Take care now.
You as well. Bye-bye. Deroy Murdock, he's a nationally syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor, and straight talker. That is for sure. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, a little more on the Annie Frey Show. We're going to talk a little bit more about Twitter. Of course, that YouTube live chat poll, if Elon Musk owns Twitter, what will that impact how you use the platform? You can go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote yes or no. Hannah will highlight some of your comments at 2:45, so you're going to want to stick around to hear how the poll wraps up, and more issues that are facing voters going into the midterm election. What's your biggest? We'll discuss when we come back. Don't go away.
Isn't anyone trying to find me?
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. More people are landing on 97.1 FM Talk every day.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's St. Louis's radio destination for information with perspective.
That's the only station I listen to.
97.1 FM Talk, the place for ideas.
Looking to buy or sell a home on the Illinois side of the river? You need Jen Teskey. That's pretty simple. She's with RE/MAX Alliance, and she's fantastic, and she has an amazing team, a big team, looking to put your house in the best light to sell fast for top dollar. I was talking to her a couple of weeks ago about the market, and she said, girl, there are still way more buyers than there are homes. So inventory is low. Are you considering selling your house in the future? I mean, I even messaged her. I'm like, what if I sold my house? What could I get for my house? Because we're thinking about doing it and potentially building here in the future. I would go with nobody other than Jen Teskey at RE/MAX Alliance. She understands the area. She is a ridiculously hard worker, and she's super fun. So when you reach out to Jen Teskey with RE/MAX Alliance, you call her or text her at 618-541-1010, 618-541-1010. You're going to get that dedicated team of professionals. Going to treat you like family and help make sure that the buying and selling process is as smooth and as not stressful as it can possibly be. Jen Teskey is the right choice with RE/MAX Alliance. 618-541-1010. That's 618-541-1010.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you may be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to GetRefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to GetRefunds.com. That's GetRefunds.com.
Mark Cox here for my friends at Whiskey Dickerson Small Batch Outfitters, WhiskeyDickerson.com. This is an apparel brand, but it's also a way of life. The folks at Whiskey Dickerson believe government should be small and stay out of the way. They care about the future of our country, the right to keep and bear arms, and they love good whiskey. These values are found in their great designs made right here in St. Louis. You can shop Ultra MAGA, Trump Country, Let's Go Brandon, and now 97.1 FM Talk at WhiskeyDickerson.com. We've partnered with Whiskey Dickerson Outfitters to bring you the 97.1 FM Talk shop. Their Patriot-approved apparel promotes support for law enforcement and free-thinking common sense you can't find anywhere else. If you like your whiskey, your Second Amendment, and St. Louis home for conservative talk, you have to check out Whiskey Dickerson Small Batch Outfitters. That's WhiskeyDickerson.com, WhiskeyDickerson.com.
If you need to freshen up the inside of your home with a new coat of paint, CertaPro painters can not only help, but they'll knock it out of the park. CertaPro painters have powers well beyond those of ordinary painters, like the power of a cut above, the power of reliability, and the power of neighborhood painters where you live. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated, and it's super easy to set up a free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro painters, proven and trusted experts in painting. Head to CertaPro.com today.
Our national debt is now over $30 trillion, an increase of over 20% in just the past 2 years. I'm sure you've been told at some point that taxes will be lower when you retire, but do you truly believe that? Now is the time to begin planning for the future of tax increases. Is your financial advisor helping you with tax planning for a tax-efficient future? If not, this is the time to call me, Ken Heisey, at Heisey Advisory Group, 314-328-6000. If you're like most people, you have a portfolio of investments, but a portfolio is not a plan. How have you planned for the potential legislative risk of increased taxes? Call Heisey Advisory Group now and let us help you create a plan to reduce the tax risk in your retirement. 314-328-6000. Again, that's 314-328-6000.
Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through A Wealth Management, LLC.
The Dave Munganast family of dealerships are celebrating the life and legacy of my grandfather, Dave Munganast Sr., with our 5th annual Founding Father Sales Event. Hi, this is Jessica Munganast. Come by and visit us at Dave Munganast St. Louis Honda and the Dave Munganast Pre-Owned Center of Bonne Terre, and you will receive a $150 gift card with the purchase of any pre-owned vehicle. Come see the difference, the Munganast difference today. Shop us 24/7 at DaveMunganast.com since 1965.
I see your dirty face, hide behind your collar. What is done in vain? Truth is hard to swallow, so you pray to God to justify the way you live a lie, live a lie, live a lie.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to have you here with us along on a beautiful Wednesday fall afternoon. I want to talk a little bit of baseball here real quick because, Brad, you're the guy to do that with. I didn't tell you I was going to do this. So
I do like the baseball.
Yes, and you know the layout. We're certainly big baseball fans here on the Annie Frey Show, and super excited for the Cardinals to be in the playoffs again. I can't express how good it feels to win the division and go to the playoffs instead of this is not the way we've been doing it.
No, I like being the division winner and going to the playoffs, not the wild card winner and going to the playoffs.
How do you feel about being a division winner and having to win a wild card?
I'm okay with it. Because it's not a one and done thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm excited about. I like
anything can happen in
Right.
one baseball game.
Right. And having to play a wild card, that's pretty. I'd rather do that than have to play somebody that, go straight into a division series with I don't want to call it like a tune-up series, but sometimes they are. But it's the playoffs, so they're not. But the idea behind it is you get to play a weaker opponent in the very first round that you're in.
So the Cardinals will play the Phillies in a 3-game series, all at Busch Stadium. All of the games are going to be at Busch Stadium.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that was all of it.
And knew something you didn't about baseball. Yeah, you get the whole series. I'm going to Google it just to make sure. I'm 99% sure,
I'm
but you're making me. Yes.
And now I'm going to be like,
But you get to play the whole thing at home, and you got to win 2. And I think I remember when this was released, and I was like, I think this is good because, like what you're saying, it's not a one and done. But then, of course, we go and we win the division, and I'm like, just kind of wanted to get a little more out of that. So, what is when the Cardinals are in the playoffs, Brad? Because if we win the wild card, and I, in my mind, have kind of just assumed that we would get past that, I don't think that's a good attitude to have. I feel like I need to lament and stress in order to properly contribute to the playoff picture.
No, I don't think you need to lament and stress. That'll come as the games start being played.
Mm-hmm.
But I would we were talking about this off the air. The Cardinals, I think, are playing the Phillies, and you would much rather them play the Phillies than the Mets. And I agree with that. I would much rather play the Phillies than the Mets in the first round. But the Phillies are no pushover. The Phillies made the playoffs, and the Brewers didn't.
Correct.
And, the Brewers were a good team. I don't know what they were doing. That they traded away their closer at the trade deadline, and they actually did the opposite of what a team is supposed to do, is to get better. They got worse, and then they lost the division by a lot. But I would rather play the Phillies than the Mets. I would rather play the Phillies than the Braves. I would rather play the Phillies than San Diego. But, again, the Phillies are no bad team. They're not a terrible team. They're there for a reason. And so they're going to have pitching. I don't know that Harper's back yet. Is he back yet?
I have no idea. This is the best of 3 wild card series will be played on 3 consecutive days. There's no day off.
Yeah, there's no way they can travel on that.
Within the series. There's also no days off between games 4 and games 5 of the division series, or between games 5 and 6 of the championship series, which would be the NLCS and the NLDS. Travel could be a nightmare should teams on opposite coasts meet. Well, so it would be the Dodgers. It's the Padres and the Mets that are playing, and the winner of that has to play the Dodgers. So if it's the Mets and the Dodgers, and they got to go back and forth between that, the Dodgers will have home field advantage through the whole thing because they have the best record. So what? What are you looking at me like that for?
I'm just trying to think. So the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets are all in the East. So why are the Mets doing the play-in when they were battling for first place in the division and not the Phillies?
They're both doing. There's
okay.
2 wild card.
Okay.
So it's just a new system. It's complicated, but the Cardinals are in it. They still have to participate in the wild card situation, and it seems like it's pretty complicated. So this Friday, the Cardinals play the Phillies, the Mets play the Padres. So those are the 2 wild card games.
Okay.
Because the Mets didn't win the division, but it goes on record because of the way that the East was just that good.
Right. So the Phillies are playing the Cardinals because the Phillies were the lower seed. They were the
weakest wild card.
The weakest wild card. Yeah.
Yes. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Do you have a playoff ritual?
No.
You just sit down and watch the game?
Watch the game. Now, as the game gets more intense, I remember this.
They're all going to be on ESPN, folks. Just so you're aware of that ahead of time.
But that's good news for you, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you get to have it on YouTube TV.
I have it on YouTube TV. I have apps that I can use for other things. I have Apple TV because I bought a new MacBook this year, and I got it free included for 6 months or a year. I don't know. It keeps working when I keep logging in. So maybe I'm paying for it. I hope I'm not. But I've had that. And I'm watching Apple TV and watching, I got to see Albert's 700th home run, and I didn't see 699. I did see 700. And I was watching it, and I was so mad. We haven't really talked about this on the air.
No, we haven't.
I was so livid that Major League Baseball decided, especially at that point in the season, put a game in April on Apple TV if you want. But don't put, when you're looking at a potential, you're talking the St. Louis Cardinals and the Dodgers on a Friday night. That's not the game you put on Apple TV if you're so money-grubbing hungry that you have to do these deals in order to try to squeeze every dime out of the TV broadcast rights that you possibly can. Don't do that game. And if to me, it's like capitalism at its absolute most disgusting worst, which is the dollar has become 100% the only thing that matters. And the only way in a free market society, in a capitalistic society, that changes is if consumers make their voice heard.
Right.
It's not, they're not going to, if the dollar amount is there, if Apple, which I think Apple has like they have some money that they can throw at MLB in order to get this broadcast. Is Apple TV really in play to get a legit broadcast schedule?
No.
They sure shouldn't be. You remember when you used to be able to turn on one of your 5 channels that you had on your click knob TV? What was that called? Projection TV. I don't know. With rabbit ears. You'd watch it on KPLR. You'd see the broadcast on KPLR and maybe sometimes on Fox 2. And you'd be able to watch games that way. They weren't all televised. Now they are all televised, which is fantastic. But if you want to sell out baseball fans for that dollar, if baseball fans don't want that to be the case, you have to speak up. You have to be heard. I certainly was trying to be heard the night of 700 because it was just absolutely infuriatingly disgusting. I was super, super ticked that no-name broadcasters are out there calling not a St. Louis moment, not a Cardinals moment, not an Albert Pujols moment, a Major League Baseball historical moment. MLB gave that moment to Apple TV to make a buck. Shame on them.
Can I complain about something else, too?
We could do whatever you want.
So,
let's let it all out.
Have you been following Aaron Judge? And Aaron Judge just hit
62
home runs, American League record, 62 home runs.
Real record.
Yeah, there's other guys in
Roger
front of him.
Maris says so.
But
Junior.
They were broadcasting, you could use the MLB app and watch every Aaron Judge at bat live when he was getting close to breaking that. Did they do that for Albert Pujols?
Nobody's doing anything for Albert Pujols.
No.
And it's Albert Pujols' day.
It's
today.
Yes, it was 700 home runs. Yeah. It's been done 3 times before Albert Pujols did it.
This is what happens when you're a smaller market. You're not a coastal city. This is just kind of the deal. But Albert Pujols said 1 more year in St. Louis. That meant something to him because he knew that he could come back here and do something and be a part of something. And this city meant something to Albert, and he wanted to give 1 more shot here. That means something to me as what I would call myself a St. Louisan. That he was in Anaheim. He was at the Dodgers. Were they going to re-sign him? Probably not.
No.
Would he have been able to do this year for those teams what he's doing for the Cardinals? Probably not. No. He wouldn't have had the at-bats. He came back to St. Louis, and it's been the most magical thing, and it's the story that hasn't been told. It's going to make an amazing movie one day.
Oh, it's going to make a great movie. Well, the Kurt Warner story made a great movie. I don't know if you got to see that movie
I got to see the first 25 minutes of it, and I want to see the rest of it, but I couldn't.
It made for a
at the time.
really good movie. And the same thing here with the Albert Pujols story. It's going to make for a good movie. It's going to make for a good Ken Burns documentary.
Yes.
You know? But it just frustrates me because this is a huge baseball moment, and MLB is like, let's pump up the Yankees and let's ignore this other thing that. And I'm not saying that Aaron Judge's
62
home run,
is huge.
It's a huge deal.
They should be celebrating it more and saying what it actually is, which is the real record. Baseball should be taking a position right now and saying Barry Bonds achieved what Barry Bonds did, but he cheated. Everybody knows that he cheated, and we're not going to recognize cheaters. They should come out and say that, which is why, in the same context, Albert Pujols should be lauded for doing something that nobody who's alive right now has seen a baseball player do.
Right. And that's my whole point. These two should have been, like, this was a tremendous opportunity for Major League Baseball to celebrate Major League Baseball with two equally historic moments and basically the two most championship-winning franchises in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
You had the Yankees, who have won the most, and then the Cardinals, who have won the second most.
And Aaron Judge, who is in his prime, and Albert Pujols, who is riding off into the sunset. Like, what a story. They're not telling the Pujols story. And, you know, in St. Louis, you don't really need that story to be told because the people will tell. It's a grassroots. He's here because of a grassroots movement. Right. Mark on YouTube says the pitcher threw him grapefruits to hit 699 and 700. What do you think about people who are saying that this is set up?
That's fake news. That is absolutely fake news. I was watching those pitches. Nobody wants to be in the record book as the pitcher who gave up 700 home run. We talked about this when Mark McGwire hit number 62. I can still remember the pitcher's name, Steve Traxel.
Yeah, you said that just the other day. Yeah, I hear people saying that. If you go on to, like, when Pujols hits another one, and I follow MLB on my social media accounts or whatever, and they put it up there, it's 85% people being like, this man is so awesome. What a career. What a season. And then there's the 15% who are saying that it's all staged.
It's the 15% that really don't know that much about baseball.
You know what's staged? PED, like enhanced hitting. Like, make a statement on it, baseball. Speak up on it and delineate between the cheaters and the non-cheaters. Because if you want to have you have people who are achieving things right now. If Aaron Judge is clean and if Albert Pujols is clean, you have the opportunity to stick the landing on the power hitting that makes Chick stick the long ball that makes baseball so exciting that can happen at any time. And you've got the story. It's right there. You got something on the coast. You got something in the heartland. You got the end of a career, and wouldn't you say Aaron Judge is still, assuming nothing bad happens, he's still in the beginning of his career.
Yeah, and he's actually he's going into a contract year too. He bet on himself and hit 62 home runs.
Smart man.
Yeah.
I've been holding back on wanting to shake my fist and say shame, shame, shame to Major League Baseball for such a boneheaded move. These Apple TV broadcast it on Apple TV while you're letting the other, a network broadcast it, and make that work. If you want to provide it to people who have that as a service, duplicate it, but don't take it out of the hands of the fans who pay to make this game possible. It's infuriating. I could complain in the next segment,
and if you want to have it on Apple TV and you don't want to, nationally broadcast outside of Apple TV, just leave it in that local market.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point too. It's ridiculous. If you want to see this game nationally, we're going to offer it today on Apple TV so everybody can see his march towards 700, but don't take it away from St. Louisans who are going to have to go out and pay for another subscription. I've seen the lists of how many things, if you want to see the Cardinals games, how many things you have to subscribe to. Knock it off.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
And this, you'll probably agree with me here, but the fact that Dan McLaughlin didn't get to call number 600 or 700 on Bally Sports just breaks my heart, because I cannot think of a sports broadcaster who deserved that moment more than him.
That was the majority of my tweets that night. But I actually texted this to Dan because we're working on getting him back on the show here as the playoffs start to commence, and hopefully we'll be able to work with his schedule to make that happen. But I said to him, I go, Albert Pujols is the most beloved man in St. Louis tonight. But according to what I'm reading, Dan, I think you're the second. Because everybody felt that for him, which means he's doing his job. And when I was a junior in high school, I had transferred from a large public school to a smaller private Christian high school. I played 3 sports at the large public school. And when I transferred back to the smaller Christian high school, Illinois IHSA rules state that I had to sit out a season for it's anti-recruiting laws that affect people in Chicago. I was not recruited by this school, but I lost a year of playing sports, and sports was very important to me. I was a 4-sport athlete my senior year. I was a 3-sport athlete at Edwardsville High School. I played volleyball, basketball, and did track there. And I sat out those 3 seasons my junior year and lost that. And I dream weekly that, hey, there's been a ruling. You get to go back and play. But I'm 38 in my dream. Why can't I be 18 again? Why can't I be a teenager in my prime? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm really achy. Can I have some ibuprofen? Like that's the dream I have because I miss that. And the Dan McLaughlin story to me, I thought he's gonna dream about calling that. And he's been able to call other ones since then. So that's a blessing. But like I said, he's clearly loved in this city, and we love him on the show as well. We'll get him back on soon. Let's take a quick break. More Annie Frey Show right around the corner. We'll get Hannah and Ryan back in here in the 2 o'clock hour, and your votes on the live chat YouTube poll, the Annie Frey YouTube channel. If Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? Yes or no? Go vote. Leave a comment. Hannah will have the highlights at 2:45 and the results of the poll. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Reardon Show.
Eric Schmidt is back with us, the Missouri Attorney General.
There's no statute that gives the President of the United States, with the stroke of a pen, wipe out up to $500 billion to $1 trillion.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
So I am so excited to be talking to you about Gateway ENT and why you should, for your ENT issues, consider checking them out. The website is gatewaydoctors.com. That's gatewaydrs.com. And Brad was telling me about his wife had an ear issue and got referred to go see an ENT. And they were saying, that she was going to have a certain thing done, went to Gateway ENT, and they're like, no, use some of these drops, take care of your problems. And it did. And you said 3 days?
Yeah, 3 days. So she'd been dealing with it for probably 3 months.
Oh, and they in 3 days.
3 days.
A solution. Gateway ENT, all of the doctors there, which includes our friend Dr. Scott Hardiman, all of the doctors there are incredibly experienced of working with people of all ages, children and adults, board certified, and have been trained to care for pediatric patients as well, including infants and teenagers. It's funny. I wonder what the training to treat teenagers looks like. Can I take that class, please? They are cost effective and a convenient alternative to ENT practices that are employed by large hospital systems. You, as the patient, are at the center of the care. They're not going to refer you to the place that they benefit from. They're going to refer you to places that you benefit from. Your care is going to be the center of each and every experience that you have at Gateway ENT. They are one of the oldest private practice ear, nose, and throat groups with multiple convenient locations in the metropolitan area. 314-843-3828. That's 314-843-3828. Online at gatewaydrs.com.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now. 314-530-7777.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuysHomesstlouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Chris Buys Homes in St. or call 314-782-8000.
Hi, it's Scott and Andrea at Best Buy Flooring.
We just hit a home run with hot summer deals for contractors.
Right. Carpet, vinyl plank, vinyl tile, ceramic, sheet vinyl, carpet tile, and hardwood all in stock and contractor pricing.
2 locations, 7301 North Lindbergh in Hazelwood, Missouri, and 1851 West US Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois. Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their honor flight today at gslhonorflight.org, and for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic mornings and afternoons with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to The Annie Frey Show. This is not what I wanted to talk about this whole segment, but I did just get an email from the daycare that I've been trying to get Molly into, but only because I first put my name on a waiting list before she was born.
Oh.
And I just got my monthly email from them that says we still don't have a spot for her. And you're supposed to reply to those emails every month to say, yes, keep me on the waiting list. I love the people who watch Molly right now, and I don't really want to change any of it. But I'm afraid to take my name off the list in case something happens and I won't be able to get her in.
Yeah.
It's not a fancy daycare. It's a great daycare, but it's not like it's... I mean, I'm not like trying to make her trilingual. It's crazy to me that childcare is this difficult to come by. Did you see the dismissal letter for Peter Strzok?
No.
So, Peter Strzok was the guy in the FBI who famously was in charge of both deciding how the Hillary email investigation was going to be prioritized or pushed away, and the Russia collusion story. He was the one who said, oh, I think we're going to hold off on the email thing. I think we're going to put this away, but let's dive deep into the Russia collusion story right before the election took place. Well, he was dismissed from the FBI, and David, is it Bowditch or Bowdick? I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced, was the one who wrote his dismissal letter because Strzok appealed it. He says, the second paragraph here is, as an organization, we are entrusted to investigate high-level public officials regardless of party affiliation. If we ourselves show personal bias or demonstrate a lack of objectivity, that trust can be lost. Our ability to be objective, no matter which party candidate or office holder is in power, must be beyond question. Candidates and office holders will come and go, but the FBI must be steadfast in its resolve to find the truth, regardless of our own personal leanings or beliefs. Though the Office of Inspector General found no evidence of bias impacted any of your or the FBI's investigative actions or decision, your sustained pattern of bad judgment in the use of an FBI device has called into question for many the decisions made during both the Clinton email investigation and the initial states of the Russia collusion investigation. In short, your repeated selfishness has called into question the credibility of the entire FBI. As I considered all the known facts associated with the adjudication of your case, it was difficult to imagine another incident like yours, which brought so much discredit to the organization. In my 23 years in the FBI, I have not seen a more impactful series of missteps, which called into question your entire organization and more thoroughly damaged the reputation of the organization. In our role as FBI employees, we sometimes make unpopular decisions, but the public should be able to examine our work and not have to question our motives. In your adjudication, I removed all the politics, pundits, and commentary and the media from reporting the decision point, which I must address. When I strip away all the, quote, noise, I am left with the facts, an extremely damaging impact to the organization, which will take years to overcome. As Deputy Assistant Director, you are expected to be the leader who was beyond reproach and set an example for not only your direct subordinates, but others throughout the organization who watched and observed your behavior and actions. You failed to do so repeatedly and put your own interests above the interest of the organization. Though it pains me to do so, it is for this reason that I am dismissing you from your roles of the FBI. Wow. If you're appealing your dismissal, that's pretty clear and decisive.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that maybe the public doesn't really know that the FBI looks at Peter Strzok that way? The FBI sees Peter Strzok, the guy who prioritized Russia collusion, which did not happen, over the destroying of emails, which did happen. What are the ramifications of that? We don't know because we didn't investigate it, because Peter Strzok said this is the direction we're going to take the FBI.
So he took a real story and tamped it down and pushed a fake story, all in the name of politics.
It's also interesting to me that the comments that are here are saying, like, you publicly made an arse out of yourself, so you have to go. What about the consequences of his actions? Do we care about that? Ryan and Hannah in studio next.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet, and the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed. I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes: cowboy boots, running shoes, walking shoes, flat shoes, heels. Makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up, because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Dearborn.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
Have you turned on your furnace yet? Air Comfort Service is waiting for your phone call if it's not going so great, or if you haven't had it tuned up lately, you need to reach out to Air Comfort Service. Put this number in your phone. Call them, text, or I don't think you can text this number, but call this number when it's convenient for you, 314-513-0091. Air Comfort Service does both residential and commercial repairs, checkups, HVAC estimates, second opinions if you're looking for a free second opinion on commercial HVAC repairs. Call Air Comfort Service. You're going to be able to trust them. They have the best of the best working for them, and they are honest, good people doing a good service to keep people in St. Louis in their comfort zone. If you are looking at a steep repair bill or questioning a quoted repair from a commercial standpoint, give Air Comfort Service a call, 314-513-0091. Their reputation speaks for itself, but if you want to do a little extra research, quickly look up all of the amazing awards that they've won, and you'll see it for yourself. aircomfortservice.com.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AAMCO.
Cancer is a journey from diagnosis through treatment and beyond. Cancer Support Community of Greater St. Louis is there every step through emotional and physical challenges to help those affected to find the hope they need, and all programs and services are free. You can help by supporting CSC's annual fundraising campaign, Hope After Dark. Y98's Julie Tristan will MC the event on October 6th at Palm Health. For complete information, visit cancersupportstl.org. That's cancersupportstl.org.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Putting politics aside, I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden and Florida's Republican governor, who disagree on many things, are together this afternoon near some of the state's worst damage from Hurricane Ian in Fort Myers Beach.
Governor DeSantis had a press conference in Matlacha, also in Lee County, another area really hard hit. He said this about the federal response this morning.
From local, state coordination, FEMA, there's been less bureaucracy holding us back in this one than probably anyone I've seen.
And that is exactly what the people of Southwest Florida want to hear.
Fox's Nate Foy in Fort Myers Beach, where the president and first lady are also meeting with other officials and residents after a helicopter tour of widespread damage. And he has a news conference with Governor DeSantis underway at this hour. A plea for help in California days after a family went missing.
The Merced County Sheriff's Office sharing everything they have so far in the investigation in the kidnapping of a family of four Monday from their trucking company in Merced by an armed man, a convicted felon who's now hospitalized after an apparent suicide attempt.
That person right now is our sole lead on where the people are.
Sheriff Vern Warnke hoping the suspect will talk. The family's truck was found burned, though 27-year-old Jasleen Carr, 36-year-old Jasdeep Singh, their baby, as well as another family member, Emandeep Singh, are still missing.
Time is of the essence because we want to get this taken care of now.
State and federal investigators have also joined in on the search for the family.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, the person of interest, was taken into custody after a victim's credit card was used at an ATM yesterday. A federal appeals court agrees to expedite review of the appointment of a special master in the fight over documents seized from former President Trump's Florida home. The Justice Department is appealing that third-party review and a delay in the department's criminal probe. America is listening to Fox News.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
78 degrees should do it this afternoon with plenty of sunshine tonight. Partly cloudy, maybe a sprinkle here and there. 55. Thursday, partly sunny, 79. Thursday night, partly cloudy, maybe a sprinkle, and 48. And then it's chilly. All about fall on Friday. Sunny, breezy. 59, 60 for the high on Friday. Friday night, clear, and 36. Some frost away from the city. The weekend looks great. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
How do you feel, Jesse Jane, when you find out that the Air Force is now telling its cadets that they have to be more inclusive and they can't use the term boyfriend or girlfriend or mom and dad because that may alienate people?
Weekdays from 5 to 9 a.m.
You know, the Air Force cadets, God bless them, and all of the airmen that go in, God bless them, you know, because many of them did not sign up for this. Let's be honest. Most of them did not sign up for this.
97.1 FM Talk.
My name is Dr. Brooke Bello. I'm not a political figure. I'm a survivor. When I was a kid, I was trafficked, drugged, and raped. The traffickers forced me to have multiple abortions. Had my mother been notified, she could have intervened, called the police, and saved me from years of exploitation. Last year, I told my story to General Assembly and Governor Pritzker, pleading with them to preserve the right of Illinois' loving parents to know if their daughters are about to undergo an abortion. Governor Pritzker ignored my cry. He took away the very thing that could have saved me and is needed to protect those being exploited today. Parental rights that protect our kids should never be in doubt. This is personal to me, and I hope it's important to you when you vote this November.
Paid for by people who play by the rules PAC.
So I want to talk to you about Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisor Group and how he's helping people exactly like you, folks that are nearing retirement. You're thinking about maybe 10 years in advance, maybe less, and you're saying, I've worked my butt off. I've saved, I've sacrificed, and when the time comes for me, on my terms, on my schedule to retire, I want to make sure that all the money that I've saved and sacrificed over the last decades is going to be there to work for me. Thomas Helbig is the guy who can help you with that worry-free retirement. I was at the Frontenac Hilton last night with him and a crowded room full of people who got to sit and listen to how he makes this possible for you. If you missed that event and you want to participate in a free, no-cost, no-obligation retirement review, you can do that as well. All you got to do is call them at 314-993-9494 and schedule that. Mention the Annie Frey Show when you give them a call and say, I'd like to just sit down and learn about how Thomas Helbig could possibly help me. 314-993-9494 online at retirementkey.com.
Are you or someone you know seeking help for a substance use disorder in Franklin County? Prevent Ed's free peer support service can connect clients with the medication-assisted treatment provider. Our certified peer specialists guide you through the process and ensure transportation to appointments and to pick up medication. Clients can generally be seen by a treatment provider in 24 to 36 hours. Access this free service at 314-246-9788 or at prevented.org/peers. As the leaves change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This month's Zero Res special. The more you clean, the more you save. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129 or 5 rooms starting at $199. A 43% savings. Take $75 off any air duct cleaning package. Call 314-474-2020 or go to ZeroResSTL.com.
Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to 97.1 FM Talk, even when you don't have a radio. Always streaming at 971talk.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We are sitting here in the studio and just watching. We haven't listened quite yet as President Biden is speaking in Fort Myers Beach, Florida, in front of Governor Ron DeSantis and his wife, Casey DeSantis. And you want to just like dip in and see, because there's a lot of questions around how does the Biden-DeSantis tag team work in Florida. Let's just listen in real quick.
Disaster recovery centers, the one that's opened here and many more they're going to be opening. Meanwhile, in the counties hardest hit, the federal government at the request of the governor, in the very beginning said we'll cover 100% of the cleanup cost, the debris cost, which is billions of dollars before it's all over, if you think about it. That we're going to pay 100% for 30 days. I just extended for another 30 days. And the governor and I talked. I think he's going to have to come back and ask for some more beyond those 60 days because it is consequential. Unless you clear the area, there's not much else you can do. And so, folks, look, we have a long...
Well, that's interesting. They just lost the feed.
Okay.
Martha McCallum is doing the same thing we are.
Yeah, right.
I have granola bar in my mouth.
Don't worry about it. Martha McCallum does too.
Yeah, she's embarrassing.
She's just chewing right through it, so you just keep going. Yeah, that was weird. You don't see Fox do that very often.
They're back. Oh, no, they're not back
It's
now.
probably due to electricity problems in Florida.
They said, well, they just said 97% of power has been restored in Florida.
Good.
So it's actually not.
Well,
they've actually done a really good job of that.
That was the end of the speech, too, though. So
the question that is facing a lot of political minds regarding this trip to Florida by the president is there's this idea that if Ron DeSantis is to take federal aid, that he's somehow going against what he stands for. Brad, when you are watching Ron DeSantis do his Ron DeSantis-y things, because there are some people who I will not air on the show, but Ron DeSantis is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm sure if you see he said something, you're like, well, put it on the sheet. Annie will probably play that. So you know how he's talking about things on a normal basis, not hurricane related. You think it's a conflict of interest for him to take federal aid in the wake of Hurricane Ian to help the residents of Florida?
No, this is what the federal aid is actually for. It's not for all these other things that all these other states want to use it for. It's for stuff like this. Extenuating circumstances, natural disasters, not college loans, not any other pet projects. It's for whenever a Category 4 hurricane parks over a major state in the United States and wreaks havoc on it. Then we, as a country, come together and we support that country. That's what FEMA's for. That's what all these different agencies are for. This actually, when you're watching it and you're watching them have conversations and stuff like that, this is government functioning the way government should. Any pettiness about different parties and whatnot, that all gets put aside because this is a humanitarian issue. This is a human issue.
Ryan, do you want to see Ron DeSantis and Joe Biden coming together and working together on this issue?
I do. I actually like watching this. What we're watching right now, if you're not able to watch it, don't worry, because what this is will become B-roll for all of time. When anytime they talk about DeSantis and Biden,
do you remember
will play
Chris
these
Christie
clips.
hugging Barack Obama?
No.
No?
No, I don't.
Do you remember that, Brad? When
Did they play that over and over?
Oh, my gosh. After the hurricane, if you Google Christie, I'm going to do it right now. Christie, Obama. The first suggestion that comes up is hug.
Aha.
Really? You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that. That was a brief moment in time when Chris Christie was probably still rising as a possible presidential candidate, right?
I mean, it was Hurricane Sandy owned New Jersey. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And President Obama came to New Jersey and they met on the tarmac and Chris Christie welcomed him with open arms. Here's an article, 6 ways Chris Christie has talked about his Obama hug. I can't believe you guys don't know this.
Man, no. Well, we're experiencing that right now because it's remarkable to me how refreshing it is to see this.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to see Ron DeSantis hug Biden?
Not necessarily. I don't want to see him hug, but I like seeing him sitting there talking through possible logistics of, well, this is how we're going to do this. I mean, I doubt Biden really knows a lot of what's actually happening on the ground, but he's still in charge.
Right.
So they are still standing there talking. That's what leaders do. They figure stuff out together. I just can't believe that it's taken a devastating hurricane, one of the worst in Florida's history, for this to happen. But I'm glad to see that there's still something out there that can bring this kind of stuff about. Oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me.
That's right. Fox News, listen to the Andy Frey show.
You win.
Can I
win.
call it? Like it's the hug heard around the world that's on Fox News right now.
The picture that you were just talking about
it's right there.
Was brought up on Fox News literally as I was talking. Yeah, go ahead. You're giving yourself a round of applause. You can do that all day. You won that one. Man, my dad does that with Cardinal games. He'll call something, and then the broadcasters will say it right afterwards all the time. You just did a Bob Wiggins.
They're saying, like, here, this Time article that is from, does it give me the date? February 4th of 2016.
Okay.
A presidential year. Hurricane Sandy hit in days before the 2012 presidential election. Many Republicans complained that Christie gave Obama a bipartisan boost that hurt Mitt Romney at the polls. And one photo in particular is still used in attack ads against the New Jersey governor. Quote, I didn't hug him, end quote. Christie said on Wednesday, repeating an argument he has made over and over again since 2012. And then it goes on to 6 ways Christie has addressed what he calls, quote, the old nobody ever saw it because it didn't happen hug, end quote.
Yeah, well, it's not a hug. He's right. It's not a hug.
I guarantee you that Ron DeSantis, A, knows about the Christie hug.
Okay.
Non-hug.
Okay.
Hug. the embrace. I mean, I would call that an embrace of sorts. Not like a physical, full-on bear hug, but a hand on the shoulder, shake the hand,
shaking hand on the shoulder thing.
Which, I mean, honestly, like that's not why Mitt Romney lost that race.
No, that is not why.
But it's why Chris Christie, personally, his I was going to say ego, maybe.
You think?
Why he. Yeah.
Why his stature dropped in that race?
He is a Republican governor in New Jersey. He is not the embodiment of what the Republican Party is. He's a blue state Republican governor. I say this as somebody who comes from Illinois. Darren Bailey, if Darren Bailey were to beat J.B. Pritzker, would be a Republican governor governing from a Republican place. And in a way that I think would just inject prosperity into the state of Illinois, because the levers of big government would be removed and common sense would return to the governor's mansion, including the governor would return to the governor's mansion, which would be nice. Regardless, Chris Christie on a national scale, when compared to what you want in New Jersey as a Republican governor versus what you want A, as a Republican president, or B, just as a face of the Republican Party, those are different things. And we need to understand, as people in the United States of America, there are 50 of them, that it's different in different states. That's the whole point. That's the whole freaking point. And when you see a blue state Republican governor put his hand on the shoulder, it's too easy for other Republicans to point at him and say, he's a Democrat. It's a picture's worth 1,000 words.
They're angling hard, trying to get different. The cameramen are running around them in circles, trying to get angles. Because it's not just DeSantis and Biden talking; it's Casey DeSantis and Jill Biden there too. So there's a lot of pictures to be had. Let me ask you though about what you just said about the states, about the different states acting differently. They're supposed to be laboratories of democracy, right? This state does it this way. This state does it a different way. May the best state win. Do you think that's actually happening though? Or is it just taking too long?
What's that?
That you're seeing, obviously, red states are gaining popularity. Blue states, population, I should say. Blue states are losing population.
Kind of both.
Yeah. But usually, states, governments see that and they go, oh, you know what? We're going to adjust because they're winning. I don't see that happening in blue states. I don't see them adjusting at all.
No, they double down. I mean, in the state of Illinois, if J.B. Pritzker wins election, and he might, if he wins re-election, he is going to consider that a full-on endorsement of what he's done, and he's going to go harder in that direction. He's not going to look at his neighbors in Missouri who have super majority of Republicans in their General Assembly, their House, their Senate, and say, wow, they are creating this type of an atmosphere. How do I most compete with them? You know what he wants to do? He wants to be a destination for people. He wants to create a state of Illinois where people flock to Illinois to have abortions. not to grow their businesses, not to bear their children, not to establish generational roots that are going to bring in taxpayer revenue for people who say, Illinois is where I want to go. He wants to be a drive-by abortion facility for the country. That's what J.B. Pritzker wants. And regardless of your thoughts and opinions on abortion, maybe you consider yourself not to be pro-abortion, but to be pro-choice. Is that really what you want your state to be for the middle of the country? Chicago is one of the greatest cities in the entire nation. We're right here, perfectly positioned as a pass through for so much commerce that if we were to be able to use our position in this country to grow business, there are so many ways that we could do it. The most fertile soil in the world is right around here. And J.B. Pritzker wants to be the destination for sanctuary city seekers and abortion seekers. It's disgusting. It's irreputable, and it needs to be changed in November. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
It's got to be the voters that do it, because the leadership just thinks, oh, well, those people are leaving, therefore I'm going to have more of my own voters. But it's got to be people who typically vote for that, looking around and seeing, you know what, these other states are doing it better. I think I may change my mind. That's the way it's got to happen.
Yeah, I think that like if Pritzker wins, he's going to view this as a mandate, not just, double down. But he's like, this is what the people want. That's why I won, blah, 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 and on and on and on. And he's just going to drag the country, the state further left. And the thing about it is like you were saying, Annie, destination state, place where people it would be a great state. It's a great state for commerce. It's a great state for farming. It's a great state. Illinois is an amazing state.
I love it.
And it gets all swept up in just
Cook County,
That's Chicago politics. Whenever people ask,
Cook County and Chicago it's a great city, and it's a great county as well. It's owned and being held hostage
exactly
by corrupt, power-hungry people who are more important. Authority and power is more important than anything else.
And they've consolidated it. Mike Madigan, we watched him do it for literally our entire lifetime. He has consolidated power and was finally, it took him 3 decades to finally be brought down. That kind of stuff has taken too long in Illinois. We've got to have a broom come in and clean that stuff out.
To your question, Ryan, you're saying that J.B. Pritzker would look around and see what and say we should maybe change our ways here. What do you think it is that you're saying blue states should see red states?
What I'm saying is J.B. Pritzker will never change.
No, but what are you suggesting that would be seen that would cause somebody to change their direction?
Well, it's the big issues right now. I mean, it's economic, it's schools, it's keeping kids out of schools, it's crime is a huge one. They've got to adjust those policies for people to feel like something's being done, because right now the people at the top, the J.B. Pritzkers, are doing nothing about those things.
But the people who are opposed to the way it's being run right now are going to red states. The people who are left are blue voters. Why would you change your policies? Because you're in that very purpose creating a system that perpetuates your ability to retain power.
Yeah, I mean, for states to be the laboratory of democracy and then to look at one another and say, hey, that's working really well over there. This isn't. Let's change to what they're doing. You have to have leadership that's not ideologues. It's not about doing the best thing. It's about why their ideas are the right thing.
I don't even think it's that, Brad. I think you're giving them too much credit. I think they just want power.
Yes, and that's why
I think it boils down to simply just saying, what makes it so that I get to stay here and I get to be in power? And it's, whether it's, I have the best ideas, folks. You haven't come to my conclusion yet, but just wait. I'm going to show you why my way is better. They don't care if you think their way is better. They just care about power.
And that's what I'm saying, is that the Pritzkers, the Madigans, the whoever's, the Newsoms, those people are not going to change. They want to consolidate power. They're fine with people leaving their state as long as it makes them more likely to retain power. But it has to be voters who typically do vote blue. Yeah. Maybe they're centrist, they're left-leaning. They've got to decide, I don't like the way this is headed. I'm going to change.
They would rather burn the state down and rule over the ashes than to see somebody else in charge.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, more Any Frey Show right around the corner. Have you voted in the YouTube live chat poll yet? If Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? Yes or no? We would love to know what you think. And if you leave a comment, Hannah's going to set some of those aside to highlight at 2:45 in about 20 minutes from now. Stick around. We'll have that at the end of the show. And when we come back, I'll ask the crew here. If Elon Musk owns Twitter, how will that impact how they use the platform? Don't go away.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show. Text Red Cross to 90999 to give $10 to American Red Cross Disaster Relief, which helps people affected by disasters such as Hurricane Ian. Message and data rates may apply, or go to 971talk.com for additional ways you can help.
When you have a situation in your home, maybe it's your office or your place of work, and you've created the organized chaos that you understand how it works, but if somebody else were to come in here, they would never be able to find what they need. Why? Because you just kind of started to live with this organized chaos. I want to suggest to you reaching out to the Closet Factory. They came into my home and helped organize our chaos, and I can't wait to get them back into my house to help because the chaos continues, of course. They come in and they create a customized storage solution for your space. It's the Closet Factory, but it's not just closets. It's pantries, it's garage storage. It's the entire idea of taking your space and maximizing it so that it works for you. For instance, taking a bedroom, maybe now you have a spare bedroom in your house. If you become an empty nester, put a Murphy bed in there so that when the kid comes back from college or stops by or you have visitors, you still have that extra bed, but you also can create a customized storage solution around it with built-in shelves. And then you have the space for your craft room, your exercise room, a study room, whatever it is that you want to highlight. The Closet Factory can help solve your solutions affordable, the very best in customized storage solutions. All the details online at closetfactory.com.
What's up, everybody? Guess who's hosting a new podcast? No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith. Listen as I pull back the curtain on everything beyond the world of sports, interviewing influential guests, outspoken celebrities, and thought leaders across the political, financial, and social spectrum. You know me, I'll give you my unbiased opinion. A No Mercy episode drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith, a presentation of Cadence 13 and Odyssey Studio, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to your podcast.
This is a great time of the year to upgrade the energy efficiency in your home with my friends at Window World. Mark Cox here to tell you more about my experience with Window World. They replaced a couple of windows at my house. They were just panes of glass. We wanted to be able to get some airflow into the master bathroom. They came out, they gave us a free estimate, and then had the windows, it seems, installed in no time. Very professional, lifetime warranty I get, and you get an extra double strength glass on their replacement windows that's not common. So you're getting a great price, simply the best for less. They do front entry doors, rear entry doors if you're looking to replace that back door or sliding glass door in your home. They've got a great selection at Window World. They're also right now offering 18 months, same as cash financing, of course, with approved credit. The preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, my name is Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair. In honor of our newest location in Cottleville, for any new customers, simply come into any of our 6 locations and ask us to pay the first $50, and we will. That's right. That means brakes, suspension, alignments, air conditioning, even our auto body work. Please come see our team or visit us at CompleteAB.com. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
We go together, better than birds of a feather, you and me. We change the weather, yeah. I'm feeling heat in December.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I follow you through the dark, can't get enough. You're the medicine and the pain, the tattoo inside my brain, and baby, you know it's obvious. I'm a sucker for you.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to have you here with us. The YouTube live chat poll: if Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? Yes or no? Brad, we'll start with you. You going to use it more? You going to use it less?
I don't know that it can change how I interact. I mean, I might change how I curate my feed. There might be more people to follow, more people to not follow.
Will it change how you tweet?
No.
You're just going to do what you do?
I do what I do. I'm not important enough for Twitter to see me.
That's probably not true. I bet your connection to who you follow makes a difference. I bet you that they absolutely have, like, if
I'm
you
sure
follow
there's some sort of flag on you.
These certain types of people, then they know you're one of them.
One of them. Well, yeah, they might know that, but they don't mess with my feed too much.
Hannah, what about you?
No, I'm not going to change the way I use Twitter. I use it every day to interact with our followers and our listeners, but also I think it's a good news source for me. I don't really tweet a lot of my own stuff. I instead like to look at other people's tweets, but I do think it would be a positive thing if Elon Musk owns Twitter, and from the sounds of it, I think he plans to do some good things with it, so it won't change the way I interact with it, but I'll be happy to see it change.
You can follow Brad at Range Brad, at one Hannah Gibbs is how you follow Ryan's burner account. And then
there's no real Hannah.
At Radio Wiggins if you want to follow Ryan. Do you think it'll change how you tweet and use Twitter?
I don't know that it'll change how I tweet and the information that I put out. I do think it'll change the way I experience Twitter, because I think there are a lot of people that I follow that a lot of their stuff doesn't come up in my feed a lot. And I follow them on purpose because I want to see what they're saying. And my guess is if Elon Musk makes this, especially if he makes it open platform where everybody can see exactly how the whole thing's run, that all of that's going away. All of our follower counts are going to finally go up because
I think they're going to go way down before they go up.
Do you really? Because you get rid of bots?
Yeah. And like any type of fake accounts that might exist, or however the system works. But yeah, there's Jack Posobiec was on with us at 12:25, and he was talking about Twitter specifically and what he has known about people who have been banned or taken off Twitter for whatever particular reason, some of the background information there. Really interesting interview. You can rewind on the Odyssey app to 12:25 and listen to that, or check out the Annie Frey Show podcast. But he was talking about how there is an expected crash of followers that people are going to have soon after Elon Musk takes the reins.
It's such a good news source, though. I think that's why we're all so excited about it, is because when news happens, boom, it's there instantly, probably before any of the TV sources have it or anything. And so having that be a more fair platform is going to impact more than people realize, even if you're not on Twitter, because there's going to be a more fair news source that's kind of the source, the original source of these things.
Annie, will it change how you use Twitter?
No. I am not the type of person who speaks in kind of the bombastic terms. I don't fight with people on Twitter. Like, there are so many people who troll me on Twitter, and like the second I realize that you were there just to try to ruin my day, I mute you and I don't see you. I don't unfollow you or block you because I want you to stay there, and I want to suck up the time and the energy in your thumbs when you're tweeting at me. But every once in a while, some of you faithful Twitter followers of mine will pick a fight back. Brad's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll go in and start picking apart the argument of the troll. And I'm like, why is Brad fighting with me? What's going on? Because I can't see any of the tweets of the person who is trolling me. I don't even know they exist. They don't realize that I don't know they exist, except for the fact that they're probably listening right now. Hey, guys. Hi. Thanks for letting me spend some time in your rent-free in your brain.
Can I read some comments from our listeners? We've gotten a ton about our YouTube poll today.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tom says, where is it? Tom says, I will go create an account when Elon takes control. Chris from Facebook, Twitter. No, not Twitter. YouTube says, I said yes, I might sign up for Twitter if Elon takes over. David said, close my Twitter account when they started blocking like-minded users. I'm going to wait and see before trusting again. John says, I voted no on the poll because I don't use Twitter. That should have been a choice on the poll. Well, John,
are you going to start using Twitter now that Elon Musk? Otherwise, the answer to the poll is no.
Rob
that
P.
you don't use it, and that after not using it, you're not going to change how you don't use it.
Rob P. says, Elon owning Twitter will not really affect my use. I mainly just read tweets, so I will start reading them, but now I may read more. Dan from YouTube says, I dumped Twitter more than a year ago. I do miss it at times, but it was a dumpster fire, and I did not need that in my life. That's interesting. Josh from Facebook said, yes, I would get back on Twitter if Elon bought it. It needs to be cleaned up and redone for the better. Bring back free speech.
Well, go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, and the poll is right there in the live chat section, and you can get your vote in, and we'll get the results from Hannah in the next segment here. If Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? And I think, was it John? If you're not a user of Twitter and you don't become a user of Twitter, then you just vote no. We would love to have those comments in there. I'm curious what you guys think. When you're on Twitter, your Twitter feed is very much so catered towards your interest. It's supposed to be. I don't think any of us really know how much Twitter is filtered out for us. But there are some stories that clearly get to cut through all of the algorithms because there's a vested interest in making sure everybody knows about them and gets to weigh in on them. Tom Brady hires a divorce lawyer after Giselle retains her own. Do you have any interest at all, Brad, in the story about Tom Brady, his return to football after he retired and unretired, and then all of a sudden he wasn't coming to practices or wasn't participating the way he normally had participated before? Questions about the marriage arise. Then he shows up and he looks very lean. Have you seen those photos of him looking very lean? I'll share one with you. But it turns out that there's something going on in their marriage. Does that touch any chords for you?
No. I mean, maybe a little sadness. I hate when marriages end. But outside
That's
of that...
just you being a good person.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, whenever you say you're getting married, you're doing this for life and you're committing to it. And it makes me sad whenever whatever the circumstances are bad enough for people to go back on their word and like that and, in their marriage. I know that they have kids. That makes me sad. But outside of that, I don't feel any different about their marriage and their drama than I do about anybody else's.
Ryan, what do you think?
I'm going to say, yes, I am interested in this story, but not beyond the headline. I will follow this story purely in headlines and see just enough of what's going on. I'll never click on one, but just enough to kind of know what's going on. Because
that's the way most people follow politics.
Yeah, it's very true. That's very true.
And a headline can certainly be read or written, I should say, to push you in one way or the other. I mean, if a headline isn't written in a way that engages you and grabs your attention, then that editor should be fired. But I think that the Tom Brady Giselle story amidst the Tom Brady football legacy thing is actually, to me personally, I'm not going to be giving updates here because that's the gossipy side of it. But I think it's really sad. And I don't know the details. You and I will never know the details of what happened. Was it his decision to come back and play football that broke their marriage? Or did he come back and play football because his marriage was broken? Maybe it's neither of the above. But you and I don't know these details. So having a dog in the fight doesn't really seem like it makes a lot of sense. But I do think it's important to acknowledge the institution of marriage and that it's something that should be more protected in our society. And we should be saying that when a marriage ends, it's sad. I mean, it is something that is sad. And I think that it becomes a salacious topic that's written in headlines and it just blends in with the rest of everything. And to me, when I see this and I know that they have kids together, I am sad for them. I'm not worried about them, but I am sad for them.
This is a couple to me that they're not. I know I'm saying this and people are like, oh, he's in Hertz commercials and he's in everything, and she's a household name and face too. So they're well known, but they don't seem to me like they're seeking media attention like a Kardashian family is, or a Kanye West or somebody like that. There are people who they are famous because they're constantly making headlines about themselves. Lady Gaga, for instance.
She's a supermodel. He's one of, if not the best players of the game of football ever.
And they're super famous, but they don't seem to seek it out. They seek out opportunities for endorsements and things. That's what you do. But they don't seem to seek it out. So when they hit the headlines like this, to me, that's a little bit interesting because they're not trying to make you pay attention to them. This is probably actually something that's happening to them. Whereas other stories, if you're on one of the biggest TV shows or in the newest movie and you happen to be dating the co-star of the movie, red flags go up for me that is probably a fake story and I don't want to read it. But this one seems real.
The headlines are pushed out there because they are assuming the people who are writing these articles and constantly moving in a direction where this story is a pervasive daily occurrence in your life, in your social media feeds, is because they want you to pick a side. And when you pick a side, then you're going to be interested in the back and forth details of somebody's marriage falling apart. So this is actually being created as entertainment because, like Ryan said, these people are just incredibly known, famous people. But it still, to me, is important to say that this event is a sad event and that there are real kids involved. You know, you think that when you think of Tom Brady, he's lowercase g godlike in what he's been able to do with his career. And it's a kind of an instance a lot like Albert Pujols, where you look at this and you're like, we may never see this again. You may never see a Tom Brady again.
Yeah.
And, we know how Albert Pujols carries himself. We're Christians on this show. You might not be a Christian listening to this. And so that is what it is. But Albert Pujols always is quick to credit his faith in Christ as the goal and the purpose of why he does what he does. Albert Pujols got divorced at the beginning of the season.
Yes, he did.
That was very sad. And I have found myself mentally wanting to know more because I feel like I want to understand it more. But the truth is, it's a sad story. It's hurtful for the people who are involved. It's something that I don't know anybody who doesn't have an experience with somebody in their life, if not themselves, where a marriage is broken. And so you understand in some terms the pain that is associated with that, especially when kids are involved. And in the meantime, I'm going to talk to you about Tom Brady and Giselle and pick a side and get into the he said, she said, they did this, that, and the other thing. And that is just, to me, is so gross and icky to make that the substance of the headlines.
The Tom Brady thing to me too, there is that's not necessarily playing into this story, but he has been at least somewhat publicly conservative. Not openly, but
he had a MAGA hat in his locker.
He's not hiding anything. He seems to be a conservative. And yet he has been successful. He still gets endorsements. He's still considered, an American Idol or whatever you want to call him. And a lot of those people get canceled. There's something fascinating about that to me, that maybe it's a different industry. It's sports versus entertainment. But he's been able to succeed and still be fairly openly conservative. That doesn't necessarily play into this story about his marriage going public and all that, but it does make me more interested in reading about him as a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with all that. So, sad story. I wanted to acknowledge it because it is a big news story, and it probably a lot of people It crosses probably more paths of people than what we talk about on a normal basis does on this show. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get the results of the YouTube live chat poll. If Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments on the live chat handle. Give us those results. When we come back, don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
The Mark Reardon Show. Eric Schmidt is back with us, the Missouri Attorney General.
There's no statute that gives the President of the United States, with the stroke of a pen, wipe out up to $500 billion to $1 trillion.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Stewart's American Mortgage, the bagel loan guy. If you Google the bagel loan, you're quickly going to understand why so many people in St. Louis, on the Illinois side of the river as well, including me, have reached out to Stewart's American Mortgage in order to secure themselves a bagel loan. It's called the bagel loan to help you remember that the bagel that looks like a zero reminds you that you're going to pay zero in fees that all the other lenders are going to charge you for. So this is how this works. You go to refinance your mortgage, or you go to make a purchase on a new home. You need to secure a mortgage. There are always a ton of fees that are associated to the tune of thousands of dollars. And you have to pay those fees up front. So if you're going to do a refinance, you're like, is the savings that I'm going to get off of this worth the cost of all the fees up front? Use the bagel loan. Don't pay the fees. He doesn't roll them into the loan. He doesn't tuck them away and hide them. You do business directly with Stewie, and that's how he makes it possible for you to save all of this money. I've done it twice. It works. It's smart, and he will tell you how he can help you with a mortgage refinance, a cash-out refinance, or a new home purchase. Google the bagel loan to find out more information. Call or text 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
You may be thinking, I have a portfolio, I have a financial advisor, but are you confident that your money is going to last in retirement? That's a sign you may need to adjust your investment approach. At Heisey Advisory Group, we know that a portfolio is not a plan. Retirement is full of complicated choices, like when to claim Social Security, how to keep taxes low, and how to leave your assets to loved ones with the least amount of taxes and hassle, and probably most important, how to make your money last. Do you know if your current retirement plan solves all of these problems? If the answer is no, give Heisey Advisory Group a call today at 314-328-6000. Let us help you quiet those nagging questions once and for all. That's 314-328-6000.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AU Wealth Management, LLC.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, did you just have your house painted? Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, no, it's actually Rhino Shield.
877-25rhino.com.
Hello, my name is Chad with ClaimingGroup.com. I have another happy client of ours that just sold their house as is.
Hi, I'm Chris. I called the real estate agent and they gave me a list of 75 things to prepare my house for sale. I called the Claimant Group and spoke to Chad and his team, and they bought my house as is. I didn't have to do anything at all.
If you want a simple solution to your real estate needs as well, reach out today. 314-946-9999. 946-9999. ClaimingGroup.com.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Now that it's autumn, check window and door seals for proper insulation and replace your furnace air filter. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studios.
Air Comfort Service is celebrating 53 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Bringing you up-to-the-minute traffic like nobody else. Sue Thomas and dependable traffic, driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Burn a little candle or two. Shine a little light on the part of me that won't stop thinking of you. Better look over my shoulder.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Checking my phone. There's a presence in the bar tonight, telling me I'm not alone. Sure hate being alone. Speaking of the day.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We appreciate you being here with us today. Beautiful day outside, and you guys, is Wednesday like the midpoint of the week for you? Does it feel like the midpoint of the week when you get to Wednesday, Brad? Do you feel like, okay, we're on the downhill slope here, or is there a moment in the week where that's the case?
Wednesday's it.
Wednesday is it?
It's end of the day Wednesday.
Yeah, end of the day Wednesday.
After the show on Wednesday. What about you, Ryan?
Having missed Monday,
Yeah.
today feels like Tuesday.
Does
So when
missing-
you say it's Wednesday, I
Yes.
get a little bit excited.
I agree.
Does missing Monday make your week go faster? Because I
Yes.
feel like if I have a Monday off, sometimes it makes my week feel longer.
Sometimes if you're
Is that weird?
expecting it to go faster and then it doesn't, then yes. But this week I forgot that I had Monday off. And so I just got real excited when you said that.
Yes,
Feeling
this
good.
week's gone really quick for me because I was gone Monday as well. But last week I feel like was the longest week ever.
Because you were waiting to turn 21.
Yeah, probably. That's probably it.
The Daily Wire did a story on this. I want to talk about this real quick before we get to the poll results. The NBA's highest paid mascots revealed. Did you see this?
No, but I'm interested.
A report from the Sports Business Journal found that Rocky the Mountain Lion, the Denver Nuggets mascot, is the highest paid mascot in the league. Guess how much money Rocky the Mountain Lion, the mascot of the Denver Nuggets, makes?
Is this like a yearly salary?
Yeah, they usually work.
Okay. I didn't
Sum
know.
total.
Maybe they just paid him per game or something like that. But
no, the
sum total,
salary of the Mountain Lion,
$10,000.
I'm going to say yearly he makes 10 grams of gold nuggets, which would be
What?
roughly $20,000.
I'm gonna go in the middle. I'll say 15.
A report from Sports Business Journal found that Rocky the Mountain Lion, the Denver Nuggets mascot, is the highest paid mascot in the league, making a staggering $625,000 a year.
Holy cow!
Oh my gosh. Is that one person or they spread that out between several?
The report averaged the average NBA mascot makes around $60,000.
That's not bad either.
The next 5 highest paid mascots include Harry the Hawk, Atlanta Hawks mascot at $600,000.
What?
Barry the Bull, the Chicago Bulls mascot at $400,000. Go the Gorilla, naturally the Phoenix Suns
Okay.
mascot at $200,000, and Hugo the Hornet. Man, these people are big on the alliteration. I need an H name. Hugo, got it. The Charlotte's Hornet mascot makes $100,000. For context, here's where it gets interesting, folks. For context, the average WNBA player gets paid around $120,000.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so glad that we didn't do alliteration.
You know
with
what
Fred
that tells me? That tells me that NBA mascots are more entertaining than the WNBA.
As a former female basketball player, Brad is correct. I mean, I've never watched a WNBA game in my life, and I'm not interested in it. I don't need it to go away. I'm okay with it existing. They don't need me to be okay with it existing, but this is how the free market works. It hasn't piqued my interest or the interest of a lot of other people. Therefore, they make less than Hugo the Hornet.
Do love it when they complain about the gender gap, though.
Actually, no, they make more than Hugo the Hornet. Whew.
Do they?
They're only at $100,000.
Oh, okay. Man, the free market's really putting a high value on those mascots.
Man,
Then.
this makes me feel like I need to go onto YouTube and watch some of these mascots.
Rocky,
I know. What do they do?
Rocky the mountain lion of the Denver Nuggets is worth about 3 or 4 WNBA players.
Huh. I think I'd hang on to that one player for the 3 or 4, as far as trades go. Also, would you prefer that Fredbird be alliterative or not? You like just Fredbird?
Fredbird's great. Fredbird's one of the best mascots.
He could have been Carl the Cardinal.
That wouldn't have worked.
No?
No, it's Fredbird because it kind of sounds like Redbird.
Right.
No, it's
Redbird.
exactly Redbird with an F on the front of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm glad they did that. I wonder how much Fredbird makes.
They went on to say the top paid jobs in the United States, according to Investopedia, are anesthesiologists at $331,000. It's 2 anesthesiologists for Rocky.
Now that I would make the trade for.
Oral and maxillofacial surgeons, $311,000. OBGYNs, $296K. Surgeons, $294. Orthodontists, $267. Other physicians, $255,000.
Wow.
But
Man,
if you can score
Or
that
you could be
Rocky
a
the mountain lion, yeah, that's pretty wild. And to me, the funny thing is that if somebody were to say, "Did you know that the mascot of the Denver Nuggets makes $625,000?" That there are people on Twitter, since that's what the poll is about today, who would be like, "This is terrible. WNBA players, $128,000. But then if you do point out the fact that there are like people who are responsible, they have your life in their hands while they are operating on you, make half that, you realize it's not about value. Your income is not your worth. Your worth is what you contribute and how much people need you. And that's up to you. And if you want to put your worth and your value in what you make, you're going to be pretty disappointed no matter what it is.
I know one thing. I was really going to push my son to be a doctor. Not anymore.
Mascot.
Cheerleader. I think that's an easier jump into mascot.
I think that's a great idea.
You have to get him into public school,
Yeah.
I was high school mascot.
Run that by your wife.
I will. Well, I don't know. Maybe I won't. We'll just have some private conversations with the boy.
I'm going to text your wife right now. So there's going to be some news coming home. All right, let's get to the results of today's YouTube live chat poll.
All right, the YouTube live chat poll today is asking if Elon Musk owns Twitter, will that impact how you use the platform? Yes or no? 68% of the people said no, it'll not impact the way they use Twitter. 32% of the people said yes. TJ from YouTube says, no, I use Twitter to interact with your show. Don't think that will change with Elon owning Twitter. Thank you for interacting with our show. James from YouTube says, I've never twitted and don't plan to.
I don't think I have either.
None of us have.
Well, we don't know that.
Well,
you have to ask Brad. You have to give him the opportunity to answer.
Brad, have you twitted?
No.
Okay. as we suspected.
That was a really confident no.
I just
Larry
twitted a little bit.
Says,
do you need to excuse yourself?
I need to excuse myself.
You got less than a minute.
Yeah, just hold on to
just bear with it.
Larry says, I voted yes. I might open a new account since getting kicked off if the platform changes so that conservatives can speak up. Janine from YouTube says, I never did get or like Twitter. Probably will never use it, but I'm glad to see that Elon Musk will buy it.
All right, so majority, 2/3 of people said no, they're not going to change. I don't think that I would change how I use it, but I still use it. So
I hope that this changes the way that social media has to operate because, it's the free market. Maybe that will affect other ones too if this one is maybe drawing more people to it. There's also a big Supreme Court case coming up with Section 230 that may impact everybody. So we'll see. Interesting times.
We talked to Jack Posobiec at 12:25 about Twitter. So if you missed that, make sure you check the Andy Frey Show podcast. But we also talked to him about the Pennsylvania races. He's been very spoken on them. And Fox News is just reporting now that Fetterman is saying that you shouldn't elect Dr. Oz because he's a puppy killer.
I think I've seen that.
This is silly season, folks. And I guess we're here for it. So keep it right here on 97.1 The Mark Reardon Show. We'll take over right after we get done. If you're streaming us on the Odyssey app, stay right there. AUDACY. If you're not, download it. Follow 97.1 FM Talk and stick with us wherever we go. We love spending our time with you, and we're grateful when you choose to spend your time with us. The Mark Reardon Show coming up next.
Oh, pour another glass of that rock and roll. Turn up the band, find the hole, gonna lose control tonight. What do you want from me? I'm not a married.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill?